Good morning. Welcome to the Scholars Dental AFK Orientation 2023. So today we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to do. I'm actually excited to show you something new we have, a new platform that we've designed for our online courses. That's something we're going to reveal for, we've revealed it once for the ACJ, but now we're going to show it for the AFK. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be fun. And here's the presentation. So do you guys see my shared slides? AFK orientation, what it is, or what is it, and how to prepare, okay? So again, if you have, I'm going to keep the chat here on the side that I could see it, just in case I get any questions as well. If we could leave the questions though until the Q&A portion, it'll be a lot smoother. So if you have more things you want to learn about, we'll be talking about what we can here, but there's a lot of free information on our YouTube, okay? So you just go to YouTube, type in Scholars Dental, like this, one word, and you could see, you'll get the channel, click on the channel, and then go to playlists or videos. So if you want to see the most recent videos, or if you want to see based on playlist, we have so much stuff on there that you'll probably have all your questions answered. If you're AFK, we have just a style of showing you what kind of questions we could talk about. So question of the week, we did a series of that. Our AFK features, but this is kind of updated now. We'll show you how it is now. If you have questions about how to get into university, we have videos about that. And then you have, if you're a specialist and you're interested in the NDECC, there's videos about that. We have videos about the ADAT exam, just a lot of information that is helpful for you. Okay, and one question is, does this course help with prepare with ADAT? Yes, it does. It does help. So I'll show you some stats about that. At least those students that took our course, everybody that took our course and then went to ADAT, came back and thanking us through personal messages, and that they were glad that it was very helpful to them in ADAT. Okay, so oops, there you go. Okay, it's getting used to my new buttons here. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today in this orientation? We're going to talk about, you're here for the AFK, but there's going to hopefully be something for everyone. If you want an in-class AFK course or an online AFK course, this is going to be beneficial for you. This orientation is going to guide you, okay? If you do not want the course, you just want to study on your own, what can you do? I'll also help those people, even though I don't recommend that, but we'll help you, we'll give you some tips. We're going to talk about the AFK exam, what the AFK course is like, how to study on your own as well. We're going to also show you some survey results, some data, some evidence-based statistics here that could show you, okay, what's the passing chance of someone doing this versus this? What's the best way to pass? What is it that AFK passers did to pass the exam? Okay, we're going to show you this based on data. If you stay until the end, and we have to, keep this promise. So if you stay until the end, we're going to offer a free basic science course for you. It's a 5-hour series of videos. And we're going to show you how the course works, and I'm going to reveal the platform as well, and how it functions. And then we'll have any Q&A or any questions you guys have. Okay, so let's get started. Again, if you haven't watched the NDEB orientation and you need to do that, please, you could watch that later in a video, how to become a dentist in Canada. Okay, 2023. From the NDEB orientation, what we know, there's a summary of 2 pathways. Either you're going to do, and you should all know this by now, a direct pathway or the university pathway. So we know the direct pathway means you're going to apply to the NDEB, get approved, do the AFK exam, do the ACJ exam, do the NDECC exam or the NDECC, and then move on to virtual OSCE. We're not going to repeat this in detail because it's in the NDEB orientation video. Okay, just reviewing here. And if you're planning to do university, you still have to apply to the NDEB, do the AFK exam or ADAT. Okay, then you're going to have to apply to universities, finish the university, and then virtual OSCE. Okay, so today we're focusing on the AFK exam. Okay, so in the direct pathway, the AFK exam is a must. You have to do the AFK exam. So what is the AFK exam? Here are some important dates that all of you have to start to know, the patterns of how the AFK dates happen. Okay, and they kind of difficult to memorize and start knowing, but once you're in the system, you kind of know it very well. Okay, so the assessment of fundamental knowledge, they are testing your foundational knowledge, which is why it makes this exam a bit difficult, because people don't know what to study. And that's why we're here, so that we can guide you on what to study and give you the detailed things that they might bring. The exam itself is 200 MCQs, 200 multiple choice questions. So, you know, typical 4 options, 5 options, 3 options, and 1 correct answer. You'll have 100 questions to do, and that's in 2 hours. Okay, you get a 30 to 60-minute break, then another 100 questions in 2 hours. So it's around 4 to 5 hour examination. Okay, and we have mock exams at the end of our courses that simulate the actual exam and help you practice your time management. Okay, so that's very important as well in courses. Now, when do these exams happen? These are the important dates. You need to know these. Okay, so AFK happens twice a year. It happens in Feb of every year, and it happens in August. Okay, everybody with me? So Feb and August. Now, most of you probably know this, but if you're new to this or you're starting, you might not know yet, but twice a year, Feb and August. Okay, the registration. So let's actually mark this, right? So here's Feb 2023. And this is actually what I do when I plan consults. So again, if you want a plan specifically for your situation, you could book a free consultation with us. We'll have one of our staff members that's experienced with the process as well call you and walk you through. Then I could take you through a consultation where we plan specifically for your situation, right? So if you need that, you could book a free consult with us. Okay, but this is what I tend to do. I'm just trying to do it here as an overview. So Feb 2023, that's the AFK exam. And then you have August 2023. That's the other AFK exam. Okay, so when do you register for these exams? When is the registration opening? Okay, so for the Feb exam, the opening could be anywhere from September to October of the year before it, right? So it'll be here somewhere, September or October, okay, for the Feb exam. And for the August exam, it could be March or April. So March or April. Now, why do I have this range? Because they have changed it quite frequently in the last, few years. They've been, sometimes it's late, sometimes it's early. So at least for everybody here, let's look at what's immediate, what's more, coming up. For anyone that's planning to take the August 2023, your registration opening is March 8th, so it's going to be in March, okay? And in some course, like sometimes in some exams, it was even earlier than that, okay? Or later than that. For example, in one of the August exams, it was in, in one of the Feb exams, it was like as late as November or October. So even in November is like really late. So just knowing that, the registration opening could change, okay? So, but these are generally what they are like. Now, the other thing to note is the registration deadline. So the deadline for Feb is usually in December. So September, October, November, December, right? And the registration deadline for the August is usually in June. So April, May, June, July, August. So June. So that's when the deadline is. Okay. This is very important. Okay, please listen to this carefully. The registration opening is more important than the deadline. Okay, a lot of times for examinations, we are used to the concept that, hey, when is the deadline? Okay, June? Sure, I have 3 months to register. Not in NDEB, for those of you that have experience, not in this process, okay? The registration deadline, opening date is the important one. Why? I mean, you guys does anyone know why? Because seats get booked within the first hour, okay? All the seats get booked within the first hour. Actually, the ACJ that was just happening right now, like where are we now? We're here in Feb, right? The ACJ exam that's happening in May, our course already started. The seats got booked in the first 10 minutes, people said. Can you imagine? Like, imagine you're sitting there 10 minutes and it's booked. You have 3 months to register, but the first 10 minutes, it's all done. All seats are taken, right? It's very important that if you want to get into the August exam, that you have to be prepared for this, so that in March, on March 8th, whatever time that is, you're there 15 minutes before on your computer, waiting for that minute to, tick. You refresh and you make sure you're going to register. Okay, so the registration open date is very important to know. Okay, there are limited seats. Now, when do courses start, or at least our course? When is our usual start dates? Usually, our course is a way to memorize it. It starts a month after the AFK exam before it. So, for example, if the exam is in Feb, our next course will be in March. So just to kind of have that memorized. And for the after the August exam, our course will be in September. So the September course will prepare you for the following Feb exam, and the March course will prepare you for the August exam. Now, this is not always the case. This is why we say book a consult. Some people need a year of training. So sometimes you may be taking the March course to prepare for the Feb 2024 exam. Okay, so this is why we have to look into your specific situation to see what you need. Okay, all right. So now you all understand this scenario. Now, specifically for this cycle, it's actually a good thing that it's early in March, and I'll tell you a few reasons. Okay, so when the registration date for the exam is early in the course, right? So like it's in the beginning of March. That's when we start our course. What we offer to our students is the best kind of advice for your preparation is that you get started with getting the books and preparing. Okay. Now, we offer in the first 2 weeks a free transfer to the next cycle if you need. So for example, let's say you register for our March course that's coming up, and now it takes about 2 weeks for you to get the textbooks. That's why we advise our students not to wait until they get a seat, then register, okay? Because they'll be late on getting their textbooks, all right? And trust me, that affects how you're studying quality. If your starting quality is a little bit late, it's going to affect your later studying, okay? So not that that's impossible, it's just why not do it? You want to try to get the most benefit out of the course you're taking. So what we say is, okay, register, get the books, start the course on time with the textbooks. Hey, the registration date is March 8th. That's still within 2 weeks that we offer. If you don't get a seat, we could transfer you for free to the next cycle. Make sense? There's no risk. If you're taking the course, there's no risk for you in this case, because you're starting here. If you get a seat, you could continue the course. If you don't, we could transfer you to the next cycle at no cost. Of course, if you take the course longer, like a month, then there will be a charge for the transfer. That's why we're saying it's a good thing in this case that the opening date for registration is early. In other cases where, let's say, the opening date for the registration was later, like in May, people are stuck. They don't know, should they start the course, or should they get a seat then, it becomes tricky, right? They have to take the risk of starting a course for 2 months, then they don't know if they're going to get a seat or not. Okay. Again, in case that happens in the future, contact us. We'll advise you what's best. In this case right now, it's best to start because there's no risk. It doesn't make sense not to begin if you're planning for the August exam. It doesn't make sense not to start because there's no risk. If you don't get a seat, you could transfer to the next one. Okay. So any questions so far regarding this slide? Okay. So hopefully that's all makes sense to you guys. And let's go to the next one. So where is the AFK exam held? So now we have the Prometric centers, so electronically on computers. Of course, not from your house. Okay. So you have to go to actual centers. You have centers in Canada and internationally as well, in the US and in Australia and New Zealand. So you could check the website. Now, for other areas that are not mentioned on the website, you'll have to contact the Prometric centers and check. Okay. Also, there's still the format of paper and pencil format, which are offered in Canada only in some areas, like in Ontario and Quebec. So the Prometric centers is electronic, so it's going to be on a computer. Sometimes how they do it is like a 2-day exam. So day 1 for sub students. Oops, I clicked on something there. Okay, so day 1 and day 2. So let's say, some students get day 1, some students get day 2. Okay, it's not like you're doing both days, it's just you get one of the days. It's usually like in an office, maybe somewhere, in a business kind of setting, okay, or in a business building. You wait outside. Usually they call you one by one, give you an ID card, locker, key. There's an area for food as well. The table that they might have around 20 to 30 computers in that area, in that room. In the actual platform, you could save questions for later, like mark for review, so you could see it at the end of your exam. And there is a navigator through the questions, so you could easily navigate from question number to question number. But you have to click on the question to actually see it. And you could highlight things. Of course, always check the updated protocol. So this is just, concepts of what we understood how the exam is running. Okay. So a question is, do they offer the AFK exam in French as well as Canada is bilingual? So I do know there is a French option. There was always a French option. I do not know right now if in your NDEB Connect platform, can you book it in French? I think you should be able to. So that's an option. You could do it. But here's the thing. Most courses are going to be in English. So you might as well maybe get used to the English. I've heard some things from some French students that say it could be that the questions, when they're translated to French, something gets kind of messed up and it's difficult to figure out. I can't tell you for sure because I don't know the French, terminology and language. So I can't tell you from experience, but I could tell you what I heard. Okay. The paper and pencil format, morning group, an afternoon group. So also they're trying to fit as many as people. Around 200 participants, they give you everything. You can't bring anything in except for your ID. They even give you the pencils. So they give you, the table would have 2 pencils, eraser, documents, agreement, also that it's confidential. They'll give you the bubble sheet answers. And of course, always check the protocol. So for the paper-based format, it just says that on the website, there are centers in Ontario and Quebec, not necessarily only 2 centers, right? But they only exist in what I understood from their website is Ontario and Quebec. Now, this may change when you see the actual cities through your platform. Okay, so this is going to change every cycle. What's on their website right now is pencil and paper format, is in Canada only. In Ontario and Quebec, doesn't mention how many centers. Okay. And of course, when you want to register for March 8th, we have a video on YouTube that's tips for registering for the AFK. So I'm not going to go through those tips here. That's not what this is for. But we have a video on 5 tips on how to get a seat. Okay, so go through that YouTube video. It's different than the YouTube video of 5 tips on how to take the exam, but there's one about how to get seats and register. Okay. Now the AFK blueprint looks like this. So if you look at the NDEB website and their protocol, it says, hey, this is what the subjects are. Here's a percentage. Look, this is not followed properly. Okay. So you could argue a question in surgery is really a pharma question. You could argue that a certain pharmacology question is really a surgical question. You could argue a pharma question is really a basic science question. So you just have to learn the main concepts about all of these. You can't really just say, oh, you know, I'm going to emphasize on this because it has a more percentage, or I'm going to emphasize on this. It doesn't, I find this just useless. Okay. So the best strategy is just, you need people that know the exam, experience it. We've seen the exam year over year, and how it's changing and what's the changes. We know all that. We'll guide you what they're asking you from exactly. Instead of you trying to say, well, okay, here's 24% in this, so I'm just going to go read all this. You know, that's not the way to do it. Okay. Because you could be reading pharmacology, but reading the wrong things in pharmacology. Make sense? Okay. So I would say you don't need to follow this exactly. Okay, it's very blurry. So how do you prepare for the AFK exam then, if you're not following that? There's 2 ways, okay? Either you're getting help, which is if you're taking our course, and our course could be given from any location. It's online, and we'll talk about that later. So you could take a course, get the guidance, solve that problem. Or you could focus on your own if you want. You know, you could go back to the release questions that the NDEB has on their website and solve them, which could take you a long time. And now some people are questioning, you know, how valuable are the release questions? Okay, because it's like a little bit, the NDEB went through a change in their question bank recently. Okay. Then you have review materials. Like what's review, like dental books that are board exam reviewing. So for example, have you heard of the dental decks? There's a part 1 and part 2. We would say go to part 2, skip part 1. There's Mosby part 2. There's first aid, these kind of review books. Okay. Also, the NDEB has some articles on its website reference list that are important. And in our course, we actually discuss all the released, and they're all explained. We talk about, we've figured out the dental decks part 2. It's all summarized. We also went through Mosby 2. We also explain the article. So we explain all this to you and summarize it and simplify it to save you time. Okay. But if you want to study on your own, those are some areas you could go to. Okay. So what are the release questions? So every year, the NDEB used to release like a set of questions. Okay, new released almost every year. So for example, in 2016, they may release 300 to 400 pages of questions, but they actually had maybe 200 new questions compared to the year before that. So we needed always to kind of look for those new ones, take them, extract them, and answer them and learn them. Okay. However, they haven't released any more questions after 2019. The last time they released questions was 2019. Okay. So some questions too are outdated. So we know which ones are becoming outdated and which ones are still kind of relevant to the current AFK. Okay. And also there's something called non-release questions. So some questions that you might know that are not actually in the released. So a question asked is, the documents that will provide you will be enough to prepare, and I don't need to buy another book. So in AFK, we will ship you all the content you need. We'll print it and ship it, and you'll also have online access to it through our online portal, where actually it's very cool. You could actually write notes on it and everything. But the online one, you only have access during the course, but we'll print and ship it to you. That's all you need. Okay, so it's correct that you don't need any other book. Okay. So you don't need to buy any textbook. Of course, the course itself is a complete thing. So it's the books, the videos, and the mocks, all that together. Another is saying, how do you come to know that they have some new questions? Well, they announced it when they voided one of the exams during maybe in 2020. What happened is we don't know why exactly, but their claim was that people were cheating in that exam, so they voided it. And then they said they're going to create new question banks. That's what they said. And then after that, people were noticing that there's some change in the question patterns. And you know, that's important knowledge to have to actually pass the exam. Okay. So here's a sample from the release question, for example. So for you that are new, this is what a question looks like, right? Lichen planus occurs most frequently on, does anyone know the answer? All right, so this is what we call an easy question. Okay, so but good job, you guys got it right. So all right, so it's most frequently on the buccal mucosa. Okay, now this is a style of question, like one type of answer. Okay, here's another question. This is another style that you'll find in the release if you've experienced. Okay. Oh, by the way, the buccal, the floor of the mouth. So sometimes there's a question where like squamous cell carcinoma, or where's the worst prognosis for it, right? And then you would be that like, or where's the common area intraorally for squamous cell carcinoma? What would the answer be in that case? So if we said most common location for squamous cell carcinoma, correct, lateral border of the tongue, right? Not floor of the mouth. So it would be lateral border of the tongue, or tongue is fine. But what if they said dorsal of tongue? Then it becomes wrong, and then floor of the mouth may be a better option in that case, if you had dorsal of tongue. So you see, these kind of details matter as well, right? Now here's another style of question. So root caries risk in adults is, these are the ones that get you to read a lot, right? And it has become that in the new AFK questions that they're bringing in the exam, there's a lot of reading to do, even though it could be a simple question, but there's a big paragraph to read. So it's almost like they're testing how much you could comprehend. Okay. So it's important to practice that too. So I'm going to let you read it and see if you could find the answer. Okay. So our answer is A. I'm not going to go through the explanation now. We go through that in the AFK course. But what the point of this slide is to show you the concept of this question. So this is the answer key question, kind of. Multiple of multiple, we used to call it. Okay, multiple of multiple. So you have 4 options and you have to select which 3 or which 2 are correct, right? Now, a good thing is they don't bring these types of questions anymore. The only questions you have to deal with is this style. Okay. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't learn from these questions. So what we do is we still go through them to learn from them, because they could remove this and say root caries and alt is all except, and then you have the same options, but now one is correct because it's except, for example. Does that make sense? So it's still good to learn from them, but they don't actually bring that question style anymore. Okay, so now we understand the AFK exam, the dates of the AFK exam. We went through the way the questions are, right? And where you can study from. Now, what are some mistakes or very common mistakes that students make in the AFK that cause them really to stress out and fail? Now, you might think it's like a knowledge thing. I'm going to say something about pharma. No, it's not. It's your mindset. Okay, your strategy. And believe it or not, this strategy, I could tell it to you once, but you need someone to remind you. Okay, because even our students during the course, I could see them forgetting about it. And we have to keep saying, hey, remember, don't forget about this strategy. Don't forget about this. Don't forget about this. It's that coaching that gets people over these obstacles. Okay, so what is it? Let's say question, like the knowledge of AFK, of dentistry, is huge. So many things, so many textbooks, so many articles, so many questions, so many opinions, so many things to look into. You could say there's 95% of these questions and concepts that 95% of them have consensus. Like, what does that mean? We're sure of it. There's agreement on what it is, right? That doesn't mean it's easy, right? This is not like, we're not saying easy versus difficult, right? It's that there's just consensus. We know that this is the answer and this is the reference and no one is objecting to it, okay? There's 5% that's controversial. So you might get a question where, hey, two answers seem correct and they could both be justified, okay? Two answers are subjective. Like, one could be justified in a way and the other one could be justified if you understand the question in a certain way. And that could be 5%, maybe less than 5%, but there is some concepts that are like that. Even in the exam, they'll show up. But what students tend to do is they put 95% of their energy in that 5%, and they might spend 5% of their energy on the 95%. This is what you don't want to do. Okay? What happens is, okay, you hear a concept. Maybe it's a question, because it's the easiest kind of example, instead of talking about a concept. So there's a question. You get the answer to that question. We're all sure it's correct. You think, because it's correct to you, what do? You take it and you put it like in your pocket. You know, imagine that. You're like taking it and you're storing it. But how do you know you're going to remember that a month later? Don't underestimate how easy it is to forget the 95% that you have consensus on. Just because you heard it and you're convinced about it the first time doesn't mean you're going to remember it tomorrow. Doesn't mean you're going to remember it a month later. You have to review it repeatedly to actually memorize it for the exam. But what happens is, oh, because we're sure of it, you feel comfortable about it, you put it and you store it with you. Then you look at this controversial area and it gets you excited. You know, it gets you like, hey, there's a debate here. I want to solve this. It's unsolved. We need to solve this before we get to this. This is how sometimes your brain tricks you. And you start going, oh, let me go after that 5%. You might be spending a lot of time trying to solve one question. I'm telling you, one question could take you sometimes days of research. Okay, our instructors could, confirm that for you when you're in the course. So you're spending days and you don't have that much to spend on one question. You need to move fast in AFK. Okay. So don't spend so much time on that controversial. Now we'll tell you which questions are consensus and which ones are controversial. Because you see, when you start on your own, you don't know. So you're just going to end up researching everything. You might hit a controversial question, researching it, and you're not getting to an answer, right? We'll tell you, hey, this is consensus. We know this is for sure. Here is controversial. Here's the debate. This option versus this option. This is debate. Here's our decision. Take it and just move on. Don't spend too much time on it. Okay. So do you guys understand this concept? What you want to be doing is spending that 95% on that consensus part, on those things we're sure about, because you will forget them. Don't think just because we know the answer, what it is, and we're sure of it. Don't think, hey, that means it's guaranteed. No, you have to study it to be guaranteed. And not only study it, you have to review it to be guaranteed. Okay? That 5%, if you let go of it, hey, imagine you perfected this 95% and you had another 10% error, then you're at 85. You're still passed with a good score, right? So if you memorized and studied well the 95% and gave yourself a 10% margin of error, you're still in the passing rate. Time. But if you spend so much time on that 5% and this 95% you didn't do very well and your margin of error in it was maybe more, 30%, right? Let's say, then now you're at 65 and you're probably going to miss these anyway because you probably didn't get to a solution. Then that's why people fail. That's one reason. Okay, so I hope that's very clear. And again, in the course, I keep sending this slide in our WhatsApp group to the students, telling them like, hey, remember guys, don't spend too much time on this question. I know it gets you caught up. It's easy to get stuck in a question, but we help you keep moving. Okay. So this also translates to the entire length of your study. So let's say on a 4-month scale, or 5 months, or 6 months, our course is around 5 to 6. So let's say you start in the beginning, right? And you get to the first, you're studying something, you get the first, week of content to study. And hey, 95% of it I could get done, in, let's say, 5 days. And maybe the other 5%, I want to try to solve it. It's also going to take me 5 days. That's how difficult it is, for example. Well, what's smart? If you can't have them both, it doesn't make sense to spend 5 days on 95% and then another 5 on 5%, right? So what you want to do is just sometimes give everything how much it weighs. So you want to spend that 5 days on, or 6 days on that 95%, spend a few hours on the 5%, right? And don't care about it too much. If you get that 95% and then move on the next week to the next 95, then move on to the next 95, then move on, and just kind of let go of that 5%, your overall average, okay, imagine this blue line is the 100% that you could do for each module. Your average would look like this. You'd be getting most of everything. You see, most of everything. Okay. So, and that's what will help you pass. But imagine you went after that 5%. Imagine that you spent 5 days getting that 95% and then another 5 to really solve this 5%. Okay, let's say you solved it. You got 100%. Good. You got perfect in that first part for that first subject. But what happens over time, you start to lag. You start getting behind. And then all of a sudden on those final subjects, you're way behind and you can't make it. So this is another concept related to this idea, that you want to focus on that majority that matters. And the things that are controversial, okay, go through them quickly, get the answer. If you get extra time, then maybe, even if you get extra time, I recommend just reviewing the 95. Okay. So what we like to say, focus on that 95. Read the confusing, that's fine. You could go through it, read it, and move on though. Don't get stuck in it. Don't feel like you need to solve, not everything is solved in the universe, right? So you don't need to solve every single problem, okay? You need to know which ones, maybe there's a human error in the question itself. Even the NDEB in its release say some of these questions are outdated and may not apply, right? So if a question is subjective even, you may never confirm an answer. If a question has 2 options where you could find a reference to support one answer and someone else found a reference to support the other answer, well, what do you do about that? Okay, so then you just move on and hope that the exam, they won't bring it that way, right? And if they do, then you answer in the exam, but it won't affect your passing. People don't fail because of the 5%. They fail because they didn't practice the 95 enough, okay? We will help you speed up this process of knowing what to focus on, what not to focus on, what to kind of go through quickly, what to really study very well. We speed this process up. So you could decide, do you want it to take you 2 years or do you want it to take you be faster? Okay. So a question, are the controversial questions based on articles? If I were to read on my own, where do I read it from? No, it's not just based on articles. It's just a controversial question that was made. It's a question that was made that the way it's made, it's interpreted in 2 different ways that could give you 2 different answers. So it's not, when I say controversial, I'm not saying something that's, you have to be a genius to solve. I'm just saying they're actually controversial. They're a problem. So don't waste time on them. You just trying to solve them right now means you're moving in the wrong direction. Why are you focusing on them? I just told you don't focus on them. You see? So you should be focusing on the, maybe I have to do some reverse psychology. Oh, focus on the controversial so you could focus on the other one. You shouldn't be focused on them, right? Next one is the preparation material for the AFK is the same as the ADAT? There are slight differences, but so far, everybody that took our AFK course were happy in the ADAT results. They got above 500, but you do have to do a little bit of extra work, like maybe go deeper into go through their release question for ADAT. There's 100 questions solved on their website. I show you where that is in our video. And also look into, for example, a little bit more into basic science and a little bit more into epidemiology. This is what I understood. Okay. If I plan to take the AFK Feb 2024 and take the class on March after those 5 months, your assistance will be over. So the course is a 5 to 6 months course. Yes. It's a cycle like a university cycle, a semester. Okay. You go through the course. Once it's done, it's done. You do have the ability to, or access to, alumni content. So for example, for only our alumni students, we don't offer this to anyone. You could take the full course at a discounted rate, around 30 to 40% discount. The other option is you could come back for the last few weeks of the course to take the mocks, the new mocks that we might have, and you'll have access to all the videos again. But there's a package for that, but only offered to our alumni students. So we do have support for alumni if they want to repeat, but yes, each one is separated as a class. Okay. All right. So reading materials. So what are some reading materials? As we were saying, Scholars Dental Materials will give you the books that you need from us. We'll print 4 textbooks and ship them to you. Okay. Dental Decks Part 1 and Part 2 could be something to read, but if you're taking our course, you don't need all that. Okay, just focus on what we give you. We have put everything in a neat 4-book package. Now, if you're not taking our course, yes, there are other reading materials like Dental Decks Part 1, Part 2, Mosby Review, for the MBDE, First Aid Part 1 and 2. My recommendation, if you're not taking a course, which is not a recommendation to start with, okay, my recommendation is Dental Decks Part 2 only, and maybe the release questions together. That would be the best combo that you could do alone. But again, there's a high chance of failure if you're doing it alone. Okay, a question is, currently we don't offer review course and mocks for non-alumni students. We only offer that for our alumni students. And you'll only understand why once you go through the whole course once. Okay. So some examples in Dental Decks Part 2 from what I read when I was reading Dental Decks. Okay, pathology. Please, if you guys could turn off your drawing. Please don't draw on the screen. Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, so example in pathology. For example, I'm just going to give you an idea how the Dental Decks feel. So pathology, it needs repetition in the Dental Decks, and it needs organization. It's kind of all over the place. Okay, it's like organized by alphabetical order. Periodontics, I found to be, it's pretty like advanced, like it's broad in the Dental Decks, but it feels like it needs explanation. It's not explained well. You know, it's like they assume you know what these flaps are, and you know, we tend to explain it very well with drawings and everything. Also, you have to focus on the new perio classification, not the old one. Okay. Pharmacology, for example, in the Dental Decks, I don't think it's good for beginners or first timers. It's a good review for it, but it's kind of unorganized because it's organized alphabetically. So I don't think it's a good step-by-step. And that's an area where we really are popular for. Like, people come out from our course feeling pharma gets just easier now, and they kind of find it fun. So that's something that we know a lot of people are scared of, and we started in the beginning too, near the beginning of the course, to help you, you know, get really good at it. For example, dental materials in the Dental Desk used to be lost in restorative and prosto, and you have to kind of collect it. So this is why the Dental Decks could work, but it's if you don't have a really strong foundation, it's difficult to navigate. Okay, so the questions that will get asked usually, and just to put it out there clearly, right? There's no, you know, you should be able to ask these things. Do you need a course to pass, right? Do you need a course to pass, or can you pass without a course in 2023? Okay. The answer, obviously, if you say, can you? Yes, you can, but it's very, very risky. Okay. It's risky in a way that doesn't is not wise to do. Okay, because if you had unlimited attempts, go for it. Okay, but if you have limited attempts, and if you had unlimited attempts and the AFK was happening every month, then go for it. But it's not that way. The AFK is happening every 6 months. There's limited seats. You could barely get to register, and you only have 3 attempts. Now, doing it on your own is not smart. Okay, it's not the wisest thing for your future in this case, because a lot of people are taking the courses, and that's your competition. Remember, it's a scaling exam. It's not that you just have to get 75%. It's who's the best out of the exam takers, right? So you don't get score anymore. It's a pass and fail. But your score, let's say you got 77 based on how you answered. Well, they're going to rescale it based on which questions you did answer correctly. Did you get the ones, was the exam too easy? If the lowest score is 76, does that mean you deserve to pass? Think about it that way. Okay. If you get 77 and the lowest was 76, then you're kind of like second lowest. So what they do is they rescale it so that these people end up failing. Your actual score that comes out may be 70, right? And this person may be like, let's say 69. And then so the people that passed may have been in the 83s. You see what I mean? So that's why it's not just enough you have to be the best of the ones that are taking the exam, right? You have to beat your competition. And if many people are taking courses and you're not, if someone is with me in a classroom or with me studying my videos on, and I'm giving them guidance on what to memorize, and they have colleagues and they're all working together, you sitting alone in front of your own textbooks versus this whole group, I mean, your chance is not great. Okay. So just to answer that, what do courses actually do? So the way I look at it is, and then you could decide for yourself, you need to reach a certain point for you to pass. Okay. So you have to get to a certain point where you deserve to pass. Just say this is the point, to go down the mountain, you have to climb up. Well, you need to get to this certain point. Okay, well, everybody starts at a different level, right? Everybody's starting at a different level. Everybody has a different speed. Everybody has a different lifestyle where you need more rest, maybe. You don't have time to climb, but you need to get to this point to pass. What courses will do is they will help you up, okay, to get to that level. We can't say that everybody needs the same time. So, for example, one person maybe needs, maybe they need 6 months to get up this mountain. Okay. This person needs 6 months. With the course, maybe it'll be 3 months, right? One person may need, let's say, 2 years to climb the mountain. With the course, maybe they need 1 year. Okay. So the course speeds up your journey to getting to the level that you deserve to pass. Okay. So you need to reach a certain point for you to pass. A course will help you achieve that point more efficiently and faster. Okay. And this journey, of course, depends on the pace of each person, each individual student. So one student may require initially 6 months without a course, maybe 3 months with, even though that's a little bit too much. So that means the course is already 6 months. That means you'll just get a higher score. Another student may need 1 year without a course and then 6 months with a course. For example, these are just example numbers to get you to understand the idea. Okay. One question, what if we only buy books from you and don't take the course? The course is a whole package, books, videos, mocks. Okay. So we don't sell the books only because that's not what we're focused on. We want the students that want to come to us, they come to us, they get the best VIP attention from us, and they stick with us for the 6 months, and they even repeat because they understand what they're getting. Trying to look for those shortcuts, it's not the best strategy. And you won't end up doing well if you just get the books. The books need someone to explain the books too, right? So we don't sell books, we educate. That's what our institute is. Okay, so course versus no course. This is a survey that's done on 63 participants that we launched in one of the previous years. And this is not our course, by the way, just so I let you guys know. We're not talking about our course. We're just talking about any course. Okay, just get help. Don't do it on your own. That's what we're, okay? So you don't think we're just, promoting ourselves here. We just looking at it as, look, let's ask people if they took a course or not, without mentioning what course and who passed from that. Someone is asking, what are the chances of passing on the first attempt? I'm going to get to that right here in different ways as well. So from this survey, we had 18 people that answered they did not take a course. Another question, when are you starting a new batch? Is in March. Okay, we're starting in March. We might open it a week earlier. Okay, so the people that answered the survey, 18 people answered that they didn't take a course. So no course and passed 16% of them, and most of them, failed. So the chances of you passing without a course is 16%. Okay, not a wise risk for something that you have only 3 attempts. Okay, and you don't want to get to your 3rd attempt. A lot of people that I see before they come to our course, okay, for some reason they quit at their 3rd attempt. They don't even want to find out if they're going to make it or not. So you shouldn't even try to get there. Don't even get close. Okay. People that took any course, and we didn't ask them to identify what that means. Just, you think you took a course? What was it? How was your passing? It boosted their level to 50% chance of passing. Now, you might say, that's not that much for any course. Yeah, well, we're saying any course, right? That's first thing. Second thing is, that's how hard this exam is. Even if you take a course, any course, you have a 50% chance of passing based on your level of effort as well, and based on the quality of the course. But also, another way of looking at it is it's 3 times this. Okay? You increased your chance of passing by 3 times. That makes sense. That's worth the time you put into that course. Okay? That year, we had an 80% passing in our course. Okay. So here's another survey we launched to ask, hey, what did the people that passed, what did they do? We want to know objectively so we could help our students to increase their passing, right? So we asked them, okay, what did you guys do? Did you take... Those people that took a course, did you take a full course? Did you take one of those mock and crash? How some of you are asking, can I just get the books? Can I just get a month? Can I just get this? Those are what we call, like, a sloppy preparation. They're trying to kind of get by, not a full proper preparation, right? So just want this, just want that, and no course. And you could see the people that, these are the people that passed, 26 people. 80% of them took a full course. Only 7 took a mock and crash, and 11% took no course. So again, like, you can see the numbers here that the passers are majority people that took a course, and people that take a course, a lot of them pass. Also, we have some data. I'm not sure if I have it on me here, but in the same sheet, people that take mocks or crash only increase their level to maybe 30% passing rate, okay, versus 16. Another thing, what did the passers do when it comes to length of study? We found that people that studied from 6 to 12 months had a higher passing rate. People that answered less than 6 or more than 12, even, in a weird way, I think there's some sort of fatigue here that happens, or it could have been not enough sample people, like not a lot of people do it, but people that claim that they studied more than 12 months then have a good, passing. I think people get tired after a year or two too. Like, so you have to, this is why the consult matters, where we tell you, okay, take a break here, then redo it here based on when your exam is, right? So this is why the course around 6 months, like 5 to 6 months with a course is good. I think people that say less than 6 is probably like they mean 3. A lot of people do a 3-month thing and it doesn't work out. But what we like to do also is we try to send you the book earlier so you could start reading before the course. That really helps, by the way. And why does it help? Because you're going to read the book. Some things you'll get, some things you won't. And the things you don't get, when you see us explaining them in videos, it's going to click with you even better. You're going to be like, oh, that's what that meant. And then it's the way it clicks in your memory, like, you know, awesome, right? Because when you create a problem for yourself, then you get the solution, right? It will be memorized better than just getting the solution easy, you see? So when you read on your own first, then come to the course and you're like confused about some things, that's what I had trouble with this, but Dr. Hafez, for example, solved it for me, and now I get it. The things that you do understand from the book and you see the different way of explaining them than what you thought may have also clicked better. So I really recommend the first read. Try to read the books before the course. So when you register, we ship you the books right away, by the way. Then you can start reading them before the course starts. So as I mentioned here, if you take any course, here's 40 participants, take a full course, 52% passed and 47 of those failed. Of course, you have to think there's also effort, right? We don't know who's putting the effort, who's not. That's why courses, the way they calculate is based on adjustable passing rate or adjusted, meaning that we only calculate the people that actually studied and we have evaluation tests. Okay. A question is, do you do international shipping? And yes, we do. And the shipping is included in the course price. Okay. Now, look at, this is the one I told you guys about. Some people that said we only took mocks of any course, 25% of them passed. So mocks alone is not just, it's not enough. Some people say we took crash course. And some providers out there may give you a crash course. Again, don't fall into this. It's just you trying to take a shortcut, not trying to, you know, save a little bit, but risking months of work, you know, 33% and 67%, 66% fail. It's not enough. A lot of people know crash courses are only okay if you already took a full course. Okay. So if you've already taken a full course and then you kind of just want a little review, you kind of know what you need, you just need a little review and mocks, the crash course is okay. Okay. We don't offer a crash course. We want to offer one full course. And for our alumni, if they go out and do a crash course, they're paying us this, they might pay here at Scholars the same and get a full course, you see? So we just make it make sense to the student, you know? There's no need to have a crash course. Just pay the crash course price and get the full course on your second repeat, you know? We want you to benefit and pass. Like we want you to pass, right? So that's our goal. So yeah, that's why I don't recommend crash and mocks unless you have already taken a full course. Okay, it's not enough time. I always hear stories from during my consults that we took this crash, it wasn't enough time, it's not the same content as the full, we couldn't pass, you know. And once you see someone, you know, you might say, why are you like stressing this out? Once you see people in pain from failing an attempt, how it makes them feel about their confidence, how it makes them feel about them seeing others pass and then doubting themselves if they could even do it, how it makes them stressed because they're close to losing their ability to practice dentistry. If you fail the AFK 3 times, you cannot do anything. That's it. When you see someone in that state, you know, sometimes I had someone actually that came to me after 3 ACJ fails, not with us, just she failed 3, don't want to speak where, but she failed 3 times. And she was crying. She was saying, what can I do? Do I hire a lawyer? Once you see people in that state, you'll know why I'm here pushing a course. Does that make sense? You guys think maybe I'm just like pushing it because yeah, obviously it's a work too. We're all here instructors, we got team, we're working and but we love what we do. But the thing that gives us the feeling of why we're pushing this concept is because we see that, you know? Okay, because I see that pain. And then when I see someone in the consult in that, experiencing that, I just go like, if they had taken the course, they would be a lot happier, you know? So this is why we say the things we're saying, okay? And then no course total, we said this stat, we said the any course, and that year, again, our adjusted was 83% passing rate. So you have an 83% if you take our course, and what do you say? Sorry, I got a little bit confused there. So 83% is our, again, adjusted passing rate. And I'll show you what that means. How long to prepare? This is the one we told you. Again, ideally, you want to be between 6 and 12 months, because people in 21 people, 13 of them out of the 21 passed at 61%. And most of them took courses as well from the stats, okay? So what do I mean by adjusted passing rate? So you guys understand how we do it. This is our, not last cycle, the one before, because last cycle results didn't come up yet, but this is the one before. So this is the cycle just before with the new updates and everything. Here's what how our students performed in our course. So we give them an evaluation test, 2 evaluation tests at the end, 3 evaluation quizzes, and we take an average, okay? And from that average, here's what we noticed. If you scored above 90% in your average, you had a 90% chance of passing. So only 2 people here failed, and we couldn't tell why exactly. So, you know, it would be great if we had 100%, but that's a little bit, if you hear 100%, then that's something, you know, something is wrong with that, right? So 90% is realistic. It's doable if you work this hard on what we give you. And these evaluation tests, there's things that they already took in the course. So they should be able to, ideally, they should get better at them. So if there's something I taught you and then I ask you about it later and you don't know, then it's your problem. You didn't study, you know, so you got to study, right? It's your effort is important. And also we found that this is a linear and up to 80%. So up until 80%, if you get an average of 80%, you have, in a linear way, kind of an 80% chance of passing. So if you have 88% average, you got an 88% chance of passing. It was really cool that our averages worked out that way. So what we do is our evaluation test actually evaluates your studying effort or quality on the short term and on the long term. So we have something that evaluates the things you studied months ago and the things you studied during the last month to see how your short-term quality is and your long-term quality. And if you do good in both, then you have a high chance of passing. Make sense? So here's the rest of the list to see down where it gets in the 70s. So below 80%, we saw more failures. Now, a lot of these students didn't take the exam. You can see they didn't, we didn't recommend, but a lot of them didn't take the exam, but also the passing rate changed under 80%. So think about it. I taught you a question. It's not like I'm getting them new questions, by the way. I taught you a question and its answer, and then I ask you about it before your exam. If you don't know it, then you didn't study. I would assume all these people should get 90%. Like, I'm giving you 100 questions to study. I'm telling you I'm going to examine you about this later. That means they didn't. Once you hit below 80, you would assume, hey, if they get 79, isn't that passing in the exam? No, because this is stuff you already know. In the exam, you're going to get a little bit of new stuff. So you have to be near 80 to 90% in the stuff that comes in the exam that you already know, to leave some margin of error for the new things that may come in the exam. Make sense? Okay. So you could see, if you come with us and you study, you have a high chance of passing. Okay. And we could actually, based on this, kind of make a recommendation whether to go to the exam or not. So that was that cycle's passing was total students that had an average of over 90% of them passed. Total students that had an average, I tried to find, is there like we kept going on mark to mark to see where's the tipping point. Above 88, they had 89% of pass, so almost close to 90. So 88 was good. 85, still good. 80, above 80 was still good. Once it was below 80, it dropped. But then you could say, well, below 80 means like could be 60. So we looked at 70 to 80. And then we found that 70 to 80, also 25%. You could say that's a range, but still, like, we want a high rate, right? So we want to give you a high chance. That's why above 80% is where we would recommend, okay, now it's worth for you to go take the risk. Okay. So just go see some questions before the passing part, after the passing part. Based on your experience between the two pathways, what works best, basically? Both work. I find like a lot more people are clearing the direct pathway versus the university pathway, obviously, right? Because there's more allowed in the direct pathway. Both have their own stresses, both have their own problems and advantages and disadvantages. So you don't want to look at it as which one is easier. They're both difficult, but you want to look at it which one works for you. So you could try to aim for both and then see which one kind of opens its doors for you. Like for me, luckily, I mean, it's not necessarily always luck, but for me, both doors opened. Okay. And I was fortunate to have that. So I did my exams, I passed, but I also applied to UFT and I got in. I told them, can I get a week to think? And then I got my results, I passed, and I had to decide, right? For me, I found it that I was okay with just going through the direct pathway after consulting people and not needing to go back to university. Okay. Someone saying courses fees are so much, sometimes people have to work hard for the fees too with the family. I know, that's the thing. It's not just the course fees, it's the exam fees, it's when you get to the NDECC, you got 9,000 per exam. Yes, fees are high, but you have to have a strategy to solve that. We talk about that in the NDEB orientation, about the obstacles that you have in your way, which is knowledge, time, distance, and money. We could take care of your knowledge, but we cannot. And also, we kind of figure out a way to take care of your distance by giving you the online course. You have to have time. We can't create time for you. That's the most expensive thing. It's impossible. But we give you flexibility. So if you're working, you could watch our courses in a flexible way. Okay. Then you have the money. We have convenient payment plans. Okay. But we're not a financial institute. There are financial institutes that are helping foreign trained dentists through this process. So if you go to if you're a Canadian, you have a PR here in Canada, you could go to CIBC and get their ITD or their international trained dentist loan that they help you every step of the way. Okay. So these things could be solved. You have to be willing to go on this journey and solve it. If you're not, then the obstacles are going to be there anyway. Someone else is going to solve them and then go through the journey, whether that's a loan from a financial institute, whether that's working and at the same time studying. All of these things are obstacles in your way. Someone is asking, how many times can we do the mock exams? I'm not sure what that means, but the mock, you get one attempt on each mock, and then you get to go. We have actually a high-end technology new thing now, the mocks, where each question, when you see the answer for it during the review time, you'll get the video answer explained right after it. Also, you have a comparison that shows you your rank among other students to see how you did. What are the passing percentage of the direct and indirect pathway? There's no such thing as a passing for the indirect pathway. That doesn't make sense, right? It's more like, well, the university is taking, let's say, 20 people this year. Well, they're going to take 20 people. So if they have 80 applying, they're going to get 20. They have 100 applying, they're going to take 20 anyway. It depends on how many seats they have. How much do all the, yes, thank you, Fardeen, for sending that video. So we have a video about all the NDEB costs and stuff. Okay. The flexible way for people that work, we'll tell you about our weekly method, our online system soon. We'll get to there. So we'll talk about that just now. And if I don't answer it by the end, ask me at the end as well. Okay. But we're going to go through the platform and how our course works. Okay. So you want to study for 6 months or more. and be realistic. This is where you guys have to pay attention to understand type 1 or type 2 student. So a lot of people come to me in my consults and say, hey, I watched your video about the type 1 and type 2, and I know what I am. And I like hearing that because it means they did their homework and they are realistic with themselves. So what do I mean by type 1? Like, just the easiest way to name them. But type 1, someone that, and if you stay for the end, we're going to give you a free basic science course. So if you stay till, type 1 student means you could study full time. And when I say study full time, like, you know, when you're in university and all you did was go 5 days a week to school and study and come back and just eat and study and then go back. That's what I mean. That's a type 1 student. So does not work or need to work or minimal work, maybe 1 day or 2, but even 2 days. Here's the problem with work. I had another statistic or survey done about work, and it reduces your chance of passing a little bit more than not work. Like, it does affect. Why? Because you're adding more worlds to your brain. This is my theory, okay? Because I found that there's no difference between full-time and part-time for some people in their passing. So what do I mean? When you start working, instead of your world being AFK, even if you're working 1 day, your world is AFK plus this other thing. Even if you're working 1 day, you might go back home. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about the people you talk to. You're thinking about the task you got to do next day. It's taking out of your effort, okay? So if people ask me what's the best is try to get yourself into a type 1. If you could not work, it helps a lot, okay? If you could not work, it helps. Don't work for fun. Only work if you need it financially, okay? If you could quit and start studying. Now, another thing about the type 1, they got no family responsibilities. Maybe they're single, okay? Or maybe they're like married, but there's not much responsibilities. Maybe there's no kids. And they're also a recent grad. These things give you the ability to study full time, to be fresh with your knowledge still in studying mode, maybe after your graduation. It could be like 2 to 3 years. So a lot of these students end up doing well from one cycle, okay? However, you have the type 2 student. Means they gotta study part-time. They have less flexibility. They have to work to support their family or themselves. They have a family to take care of. They have kids. They there's family responsibilities. And they probably graduated a long time ago and forgot all the basic theory, and they're just clinical. This is what I call a type 2 student. Now, you could be somewhere in between. That's why we say, okay, in your consult, we'll probably go through the details and see like what works for you, right? But you have to be realistic. A type 2 cannot do what a type 1 can do in 6 months. Just be realistic. It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. You cannot accomplish what this person could accomplish in 6 months. So why do you expect a course to be able to crack that code? It's impossible, okay? You have to become a type 1 to actually do what the type 1 does. Does that make sense? So instead of trying to do that, just if you could not work, great, but otherwise, you just have to plan for the type 2, plan differently. So for example, if the type 1 could stack all their studying in 6 months, and in each day they could give 10 hours, for example, well, if you could only give 3 hours every day, okay, then that means you have to extend your plan horizontally and just be realistic about it. So you might need a year, 12 months, just the reality, okay? So now it depends on your situation. If you have 3 attempts, sometimes we say, okay, you could go for the first exam, knowing that it may not work out, but if it does, great. If it doesn't, don't be depressed by that, because you're planning anyway to go for the second one there. And that's your passing one that you're planning for. But what if it works out in your first one? So people like that idea. Some people prefer not to do that because it stresses them out to fail. So they prefer to skip it and just go here. Or you could take our evaluation test to see how you do. So there's multiple ways of seeing how it works out, okay? But just be realistic with yourself. I'm not here to make false claims that whoever you are, whatever your situation is, you will pass in 2 months with me. No, I'm not here to do that. We have to be realistic with your situation and actually plan for it, Okay, that's the best way to succeed, not force something. Okay, now take a full course. That's so my advice: study for 6 months or more. The second, take a full course. Please do not wait until you fail an attempt. It really hurts me to see the students that come to me in a consult and it's just like they would have done anything. Once you fail once, you've done anything to pass that first attempt. It would give you a huge boost in the whole process of confidence. Okay. And I don't like to, I like to address the elephant in the room, like to talk about things honestly with my students. We're all doctors. We're all intelligent people. There's some things I know more than you do. There's some things you know more than I do, right? But I have experience in this process and in teaching this process and in what comes after the process in dentistry in Canada. So I tell you, look, you have two options. You either spend money to save time, or you could spend a lot of time and may need to eventually spend the money anyway. This is how it is. Like you might think, well, yeah, courses are high enough now and I don't want to pay for a course right now. Okay, fine. You might take longer, but what if you still fail? Then you still have to pay for the course later. You just lost time and money. Do you see what I mean? So you have to decide what's valuable to you. And this is an honest question, right? And at the end of the day, you're going to have to decide for yourself. But my strategy is, my wise decision was always pay for something to speed up the process. Time is more valuable. Okay. Reach my goals faster. Save the cost. If you save the cost now, you risk failing, delaying 6 months. How much is 6 months in a dentist's life worth? Think about that here in Canada. If you know that 6 months could pay probably for all your costs during the NDEB process. Like if you work on getting to be a dentist faster, when you are a dentist and you're working full time, you could make anywhere from 10 to 15,000 a month, right? So you could pay for almost the whole, in 6 months, you'd have paid for everything almost you spent. Okay, fine, not 6 months, sure, maybe a year. But why I'm bringing up 6 months is that's how much it costs you to fail an exam. If you fail AFK, you have to wait 6 months. If you fail ACA, you're waiting 6 months, and you're not guaranteed to get a seat, because you might go to registration, they get booked, and you don't get a seat. It's not a smart, wise risk. You have to find a way to get through financial burden. It's not like I'm saying this to you guys and I didn't practice it. I had to take loans for myself. Back then I didn't have a course for myself. I didn't make the course. So I had to go and get help for skills. I had to get help from people to teach me. I had to buy the instruments. So we had to take loans. Now you might have to do that. But I'm just trying to tell you that we all have to go through that. And it's tough, I know, but you have to make the smart decision, right? The one that makes sense. Okay. And if someone did pass without a course, great, good job for them. I do see some of those every once in a while. And I say, hey, you did good, but it wasn't the wise thing to do. Doesn't mean if someone jumped off a roof and survived, doesn't mean it's a wise thing to do. So, okay. But yeah. And so this is how you're asking about the online course. Is it as good as in class? Some people ask. I believe, and I know, and I think our staff even now 100% knows it's better. Simply put, it's just better if it's done right. Okay. And that's how we're only focused on this. We're not splitting, a lot of courses they have in class, and then they kind of launch an online side thing. Hey, let's just do this a little bit online. People want online, just do this for them, right? Our main course is online. And we were doing in class and online until our online course became so much better that it just didn't make sense for people to do the in class. Sorry, did I say that wrong? Our online course, became so much better that it didn't make sense for our same students to do the in class. They were like, wait, why am I doing in class if I can just do all this stuff with you guys? Exactly. Why? It's a good point. So a question is, can you please give us a statistic of students that passed and took courses in your school the last year? I did already with the adjusted one. So I don't know if you missed it, but we did talk about the passing rates, right? We said we have evaluation tests. If you score above 90, you have 90% chance of passing. If you score above 80, you have 80% chance of passing. If you score below 80, we don't recommend you take the exam, right? Now, another question, do we need to wait for the board approval before starting the course? No, we don't hold you based on the board approval. A lot of people, their plan is they start the course waiting for the approval. And if they get the approval, they'll go for this exam. But if they don't, they're willing to continue and then take the exam after and possibly come back for the review package. Like, so their strategies, they're taking the course and being approved is not related. It's more about taking the course and when you think your exam is going to be, and is it better to start earlier or later? Again, we could do that in a one-on-one consult if you're interested, right? Okay, so why do I say our online course is better? Okay, well, because we're biased, right? But no, but I'm going to tell you what I tell people in consults, because these are actual concerns. People, when they hear the word online, there's some sort of like skepticism about that, right? Like, it's like, it doesn't feel real. What do you mean by online? But I'm going to show you guys something really cool. First of all, think about it. Let's take out the emotion and let's just think about it logically. Okay, so if you could think about it logically with me, objectively, like we're all intelligent dentists here. So think about it. First of all, you save commute time. Okay, commuting in Canada is not like a walk to the neighborhood. So a lot of times it's usually an hour at least. Like usually, if you're getting around by bus or driving, it's an hour or 40 minutes. So going back and forth, that's 2 hours every time you go to the class. If it's 2 classes a week, then that's 4 hours a week that you could be sitting, learning, reviewing. Plus, not forgetting getting ready, leaving the house, having plans to whoever who's taking care of things, or if there's somebody that, so all this stuff, right? Okay. So you save commute time. So logically it makes sense. Important content that we have, everything important that is lecture-based is pre-recorded in a high quality way. So I hope you guys like the way I have it here with the audio. Does it sound good? I have another thing broadcasting my video and my slide together in a different system that's being recorded right now. You'll see it on YouTube. So just like how you see my YouTube videos, that's how you'll see the recorded lectures. Okay. So what does that mean? You do not miss explanations. Who has ever here in class zoned out for a few minutes? You could admit it, okay? We all do it. Sometimes you fall asleep, sometimes you zone out, you start thinking about what you're gonna do after. You need to use the washroom, the instructor's not gonna stop. You miss stuff, right? You miss concepts. How come we're okay with that in class? Like, why do we accept it? We accept it because that's how it is. But what if there's a way you don't need to go through that? You actually you could pause it when you need to go to the washroom, or if you zone out, you just take a break and come back to it. So also, this is better. So students can understand the content that I want to give them during the week before they get to the Q&A, right? And then in the Q&A, they'll come with higher quality questions. Now, a lot of people had this concern about online. Like, how do I ask questions? Well, we have a live lecture that we're going to do after every subject to talk about the subject. So it's not like we're just giving you the videos and you're letting you go. No, it's a course. We're working with you. There's a WhatsApp group. There's things happening all the time in the course. So if you're in class and you have questions, what kind of questions are you going to have? Like, you didn't even get the chance to understand it properly to ask a proper question. But when you watch all the videos, then you come to class, you really thought of these questions, you note them down, it's organized. The live lecture itself that we do is dedicated for questions and answers, right? So there's no pressure to finish on time. You know, if you're in class and you ask a question, has anyone felt when the instructor gets annoyed or when other students get annoyed? You guys probably experienced this. Like, you're in class, the instructor has 5 hours to finish this or 2 hours to finish this. You're asking a question, you're not getting it. Students are like, come on already, we want to go home, we got to catch the bus. The instructor's like, come on already, you got to get this, you know. We don't have that here. Why? Because the whole session is dedicated for questions. That's why we have the session. So it's welcomed. We want you to ask questions. Come, ask your questions. We organize it. Okay, who's going to put their hand up first? You get 2 questions. You get 2. You get 2. We go back. You get 2. You get 2 until everybody's done. We answered all your questions. No one is bothered. And the instructor is happy because that's why the instructor is there. And asking questions could be more comfortable for some shy students that don't like to kind of be on the spot in class. So that's also a plus. A lot of people told us that. I kind of like asking questions online. It's a little bit easier. So you're welcome to unmute and ask, or you're welcome to type it in the chat. So the only concern that's left for some people is the social factor, right? But we also solve that. We have in our Zoom sessions, we have that, we get to know each other. We have something called Discord that we'll introduce you to, which is an app that we could speak on and just freely talk. We do that almost every Friday. And we have a WhatsApp group. So there is a social, and there's also discussion areas and forums that we have. Now, this social factor that people like to be in presence of other people, some people could argue that, but it's not really something that's adding to your studying, really. Okay. So a question, yes, our content is mainly based on what the NDEB references have and the answers to their questions. Okay. So it's based on what you need for the AFK. Otherwise, we wouldn't be still an institute. We would be, if our material didn't work, after the first year, it would be like, you know, just closed and I'll be in dentistry. The reason I continue doing this and my staff continue is because it works, right? So, and just honest, dentist to dentist, if this didn't work, I would just go to dentistry. But this is working for people. Every cycle, they tell us, keep doing what you're doing. Just look at our Google reviews. There's one that's probably just in the last week. If you check our Google reviews, just the students are, you know, saying what they speaking for you, right? So the best to get and those are actual legit Google reviews. We're not just copying anything and putting it on our website. Go to our Google page and see what the people that took our course, what they're saying. They're saying AFK has changed the question pattern, so you'll get all that updates, okay? Just because they change the question pattern, it doesn't mean you don't need to learn what cholinergic pharmacology means. So that's, we call that, you could call it a thought distortion. You don't know what you're saying exactly. Oh, they change pattern, that means new knowledge. No, they change pattern, you need the new stuff, but you still need the knowledge foundation. So you need both, right? Okay, so if you compare our online with in-class, or honestly, even a live online, I wouldn't do. Like if someone is saying, come to do an online that's only live, I've worked before with companies that try to do that, and it's not, if they're doing an online where it's like they're doing the online at the same time in class, not good. If they're doing only live online, also not recommended. I wouldn't like it, because imagine it's the same as now in class, because you have to be there at a specific time. If anything goes wrong with your mic, your internet, you miss that class, right? So that's why, yes, we do have live lectures, but it's not founded only on those live. We have pre-recorded that you could access. Then we have live supported. So yes, you want to be there, but it's like a lot of people do the courses without attending the live, you know? So the question is, who will give the live lectures? So all the recordings are done by myself, and the live lectures are mostly me, and there's other expert instructors for each subject. So for radiology, we have someone that's expert in radiology. If you have questions for ortho, we have someone expert in ortho. And other subjects, we have an instructor. So you'll be introduced to the instructors, but in the videos themselves, you'll be with me. And also, I see you almost every week in a separate casual discussion. Okay, so we'll experience that together. So lecture wise, you just saw that having with us online is better, because you could rewind, repeat at your own pace. Efficiency and productivity, it's better to do it the way we're doing it, with pre-recorded lectures, because if you could fit and watch all the videos in a week and then finish them again, go ahead. You could watch them twice. Material, I think material is probably the same between us and others in general, but we'll print and ship it to you. So that's the main difference. Questions, I think one of our students told me this, that took actually another course, and she told me that, she said, other courses don't even answer all the questions that are available. But in our course, not only we answer, we explain all the questions in videos. So, okay. Oh, sorry, that was supposed to be for release questions. This is for asking questions. But yeah, anyway, that's still useful knowledge to know. But also, you develop better questions for the live sessions. You're not rushed to finish on time or anything, or no one's going to be annoyed by you. The social, we still have a good social thing online with WhatsApp, with Discord, with Zoom. We all do get to know each other. You still have that. Some people could argue that, hey, you know, social in class is a little bit cool because you're around people, you could do stuff afterwards, but you could also do that with online. So if you know someone that's taking this course that's around you, you guys could go to a library, study together. You could still do that. And at the end of the day, this part, to me, I find it, well, you're here to pass. You're not here to have fun, you know? So pass first, and then go do all your social stuff on your other time, you know? But we still have it, okay? Updates, even for updating you, it's faster online. We have technology now that could interrupt the video and send you a message in it. We have technology, if I need to really urgently update you with something, I could create a lecture, record it, upload it, and it pops up on your platform, right? Versus trying to schedule a meeting with everybody, you know? Whereas in class or live, it's like, it's worse. It's slow. It's hard to update. You can only update people with text, you know? Okay, so that's my comparison of online. If it answers your question, hopefully it does. So I answered your question about who will give the lectures. If you start the approval procedure in March and take the course in March, is there any way that you will be ready for the August? I doubt that you'll be ready for August. Okay. Most likely you'll be taking the Feb 2024 exam. If you want, book a consult so we talk about your case better. So here, this is where it depends on if you're working, not working. Should you take this course, then repeat? Should you take this course, then study on your own afterwards? Or is it better to wait than study, or order the books now for the next course? Like, there's different strategies based on what your situation is. Okay. So how to study for the AFK? First, you want to start identifying weak points as you're reading. So when you read, give time to forget. This is kind of important. So when you read something, allow yourself to forget it so that you could read it again later. It helps emphasize the knowledge and memorize it. So if you read something 5 times over 5 months, that's better than reading it 5 times over 5 minutes. Okay. So hopefully you understand that, you know. So you want to read something, you want to let it go read something else for a while, come back to it later. That kind of method allows your brain to practice recalling things. Okay. It's almost like when you study something, it's buried inside you somewhere, and then you want to start learning how to dig that path to it. And the way to do that is you need to forget it to see how you could dig that path. And the more you review it, the more that pathway gets clear and straighter and faster. Okay. Know that you'll never remember 100% of what you read the first time, no matter how much time you spend on it. Okay. People sometimes sit in front of their pages thinking that if I spend more time, I'll leave it 100% memorized. You'll never memorize 100% of something when you're reading it for the first time. So just get that first reading out of the way. Do it quickly so that whatever it is, let it happen, forget, come back to it. That way, you know, and it's normal to not memorize everything from your first attempt. And we have to remind students about this so they don't lose confidence in themselves. So for example, try to go through 15 pages quickly, then read them over and again. It's better than reading one page over and over again. So a strategy is like, okay, I'm going to read from page 1 to 15. Okay, get to 1 to 15. Then I could go back and read again from 1 to 15. Why? Because I would have forgotten page 1 now. Now I go back, something's going to add up and make sense a little bit. If you keep reading page 1 15 times or 5 times, and then you read page 2, no, do it the way I'm saying. It's faster. Okay, from experience, I noticed. Also, concept of creating questions. So there's just some tips, by the way. Okay, you don't have to use them. You could have your own way. Okay, so how to study the first time. So read on your go through it as reading, and know that you will forget something. So try to finish your first reading fast, and I recommend you do this before the course if possible. It's best to do it before the course. So if you could register for the course, get the books, start reading it before. Even if you read the first book, like the basic science, it gets you a good, starting point or a boost. That first reading, you get it out of the way, then you could do the course on your second read. Look at the first reading like it's kind of like just getting to know someone for the first time, okay? You're not going to memorize their face necessarily. You're not going to learn too much. You're just meeting the book, okay? The first reading is like, let me see what's in this book, okay? That's pretty much it. So you want to try to understand and learn. On your second time when you're reading the book, or if you're studying, now here you got to make sure you learn and understand, right? And you want to catch what seems new and what seems that it's not new to you anymore. Like, what is it that you remember from the first read? And what is it that feels that, whoa, I feel like I just read this for the first time. And that's what I mean by you'll forget things from your first read. So those things you want to make sure you learn. And in this time, you could probably start creating some questions, even more on each page to help you review. And then the third time, you could try using those created questions you made on the second attempt to see what you actually remember and what you don't remember. So before you cheat and look at the page, you want to see, do I remember what's in there? Let me have a question to trigger that information. If I could answer this question, that means I know that knowledge. I don't need to review it too much. That's it. But if I can't figure out that answer to that question, then I don't know the knowledge. All right. You could sometimes peek at the card if you're doing dental decks to see what knowledge there is, and then see if you could remember it. So some things that you remember have probably became raw information for you now. You have to figure out what information that is still not clicking with you, not memorable. And this is different for each person. This is a very important step to prepare for your review time. I'll show you what I mean by that. Cross out what becomes easy and pointless to read. This will make your final reading more efficient. So our online course, what it will do, we have organized all the information. Everything is organized. Everything is understood mostly, and we'll teach you that understanding. We'll provide you this organized material, help you understand all the tough concepts that you would have taken you days to understand. We've researched all the questions, okay? We'll help you achieve that 4 reading result faster and better, because usually the 4 readings is like the recommended minimum. So here's a card from I actually scanned this. This is my card from pathology. I studied the dental decks. Okay. Hope you don't have to go through that experience and just go through our course, which is a pleasant experience. Okay. So here's a primordial cyst. Okay. So you can see how I crossed this all out. Okay. Since the primordial cyst arises from a tooth bud, the tooth will be missing from the dental arch unless the cyst arose. So I don't need to read that anymore. When I got to my third read, I kind of knew now what primordial cyst means. I knew what it was. So I learned, okay, reading this is wasting my time. I don't need to feel good about myself right now. I don't need to be like, affirm the things I already know. I need to find the things I don't know. And that's what the main part in reviewing is. You want to find out what you have long-term memory for, catch the things you don't have long-term memory for, review those so that you go to the exam with everything in your memory. Make sense? So at first I had this highlighted. So the mandibular third and fourth molar region. That's kind of weird. If a question came from that saying fourth molar, I would have probably picked the second molar, or not the fourth molar. I would have probably found that odd. But because it says that, it's like weird to me. Because it's weird to me, I'm going to highlight that because I may make a mistake in that in the exam. So I'm going to highlight that part. Afterwards, it became natural, so I would cross it out because now I feel like I wouldn't mess it up anymore. You can see all this is unnecessary, I felt. 10 to 30 years, radiographically, the primordial cyst is circular. Well, it's a cyst, so it's always going to look like any other cyst. So it's a circular and radiopaque border. So I don't need to learn this anymore too, because all the cysts, I just have a rule, all cysts look like this, you know? So you can see I highlighted this twice. Whoa, what did I highlight this twice? That means there's 2 times I came across it where I felt like it was different to me. You see? The first time I highlighted it, and then the second time, I'm like, oh, this is still something I need to probably read. This one is only highlighted once, which means I read it once and it was weird, but then the third time I read it wasn't weird anymore. You see? So here, residual cyst can easily be misdiagnosed as primordial cyst. The latter arises in lieu of a tooth, whereas a residual cyst arises in relation to an extracted tooth. Oh, okay. So if they bring differential, then I just have to remember residual and primordial. Now, obviously, it's easy to me because I teach pathology, right? Someone is asking me a knowledge question. What is the mandibular fourth molar? We'll get to that when we talk about primordial cyst in the course, but basically, it's saying that primordial cyst happens in these regions of the third molar and the region of the fourth molar, meaning behind the third molar, right? Because they say that historically, we used to have fourth molars, but now we don't have them anymore because we don't need them. Okay, so, or they kind of become like just not developing anymore. So they call that region the fourth molar region. So maybe a primordial cyst is happening in lieu of it behind the third molar, just the region. Okay, does that make sense a bit? Hopefully. Okay. Here's another one where I crossed this part out. Again, you guys understand the point? Where am I doing this? Maybe my third read, my second read, depends on how good you are at that card, how confident. But basically, I'm crossing stuff out so that I minimize my review. I'm not reviewing everything, right? And I don't need to review only what's important. I need to review what I'm forgetting. This is probably the most important thing you want to take away, okay? How to figure out what you know and what you forget. So you could create questions. So for example, look at this card. When I have a check mark, I know that I answer this question always correctly, so I don't need to waste time reading. See how efficient I'm being, right? I'm trying to be super efficient with my time. And then I put these kind of questions. Most common odontogenic tumor. Here's the answer. So I block this part with my right hand and I just kind of read. If I know all of these, then I don't need to read the card, for example. That was like my strategy, right? Because they're pretty much what's on the other side of the card. Another tip is I used to take information from one card. That's, let's say, you remember this card here. So look, the only thing that's left is this piece of information, right? So I would take that and put it on another card so that I could and then I'll just get rid of this entire card. So now to me, instead of having pathology like this thick, it's like this thick and it looks less intimidating. So you got to use your psychology here, trick yourself. So it looks like less scary when you go on towards the pathology, right? So I would take things from one card, put it on this card, because here I had a reason to come to this card for this area, because that was weird to me. And this is all easy. But I had this from another card. I added it here. So now I could remove that card. Make sense? So you could do that even with our books. Like if you have a page that has one sentence, you could take that sentence, put it on another page. That way you could say, I'm going to skip that page. It feels good, to be able to go through a page quickly like that. I used to name the cards. So if you're doing dental decks without our course, you want to name, on your first read, give a nickname for each card. Of course, if you're taking our course, you don't need this because we have everything organized, but the dental decks are not organized. So you'll find that the dentagerous cyst in multiple cards. So what I did is I kept naming the cards as I go. I give them nicknames. This is the dentagerous cyst card. And then I put all the dentagerous cyst cards together. And I even put the cards from pedo and pathology together that are the same, instead of having them all over the place. And then that way I could delete any repetitive information. And do the same with release questions. Even more important with release questions. Cross out the questions you keep answering correctly. So let's say you have question endo, question 62. Okay. The first time you come to it, you're like, I answered it correctly. You could put a check mark on the left. After a month, maybe you come to it again. Did you answer it correctly? Okay, so you answered it correctly twice. Why do you need to read this question again? I'll tell you why. Some people like to feel good about themselves, right? So, I want to go through it because it makes me feel like I study, but you're wasting time. Why waste time? This one, if you got it twice correctly, then your pattern, okay, is showing that you'll get it right the third time. So you cross it out and go to that question where maybe you got it wrong the first time and right the first time. Maybe keep that one to review. Or maybe one that you got right then wrong. That's weird. Why did you get it right then wrong? That means you learned something weird there. Why was it the first time you got it right and the second time you got it wrong? So you got to check that out. And then once you get 2 check marks on each question, then there's a pattern that you're going to get it right. So you have to be confident there. So reading a question does take time. So don't read the ones you don't need to read. Okay. So how to use the course, we'll guide you how to study. We even have a study guide to tell you what to do every step of the way. And I'm going to get to how the course works. Okay. Of course, we're going to teach you as much as we can. We believe, and this is from what students tell us, we're teaching you at a higher quality than what your dental school probably taught you. And we're going to do it in less time. We are helping you understand the things your dental school skipped or ignored and the concepts you do need to pass as well. So our teaching goals are about passing the AFK exam and learning dentistry at a higher level. So you're learning what's important for the exam and what's important to being a dentist as well in Canada. The way I look at it is you might never have another chance to learn the things you'll learn here. Okay. The information in this course is important for you to practice dentistry. Okay. Patients and physicians expect a practicing dentist to know these things. Okay. If someone comes to you and you're talking to a physician and saying, hey, I have a patient that's taking this drug. Can I give this drug? If the doctor expects you to know what cholinergic means, okay, what adrenergic means, right? So what I try to tell people, instead of looking at it as a stressful process, try to look at it as an opportunity. You're never going to be motivated again to study pharma, okay? Why not do it right? Like right now you have an excuse in front of your family, in front of your friends that, hey, I have an exam and this is the only way to do it, so I need to do it. You have an excuse to sit down and study pharma and fix what you didn't, what our dental, I know I was abroad, I studied in Syria, so I know how dental schools are. Fix what you didn't do or what was not done right, because every school has good professors and bad professors. So we have a different mix of what was your good professor. Maybe you had a good one in patho, maybe this person had a good one in surgery, right? But fix what you can fix now. If you pass the AFK without a course by luck, then you're not going to open a pharma book. You go to ACJ with problems and misconceptions. You go to practice with problems. And people like kind of, if other dentists see that you have this lack of knowledge, it's like, like, what are you doing? So this is a chance that there's enough motivation for you to go through the pharma and all this stuff that you might find boring now, but very useful for you in your practice. Okay, so one of the most important concepts as well is this. Okay, this is what I call the green circle. Okay, so imagine the knowledge of dentistry, all of it is within this circle. Okay, so the knowledge of dentistry is within this circle. And each specialty this is how much knowledge there is in each specialty, right? Now, you have to accept that, of course, you're not the specialist in every single subject. Okay? So what you need to do to pass is really focus on that green circle, the foundational part of each one that the NDEB wants you to know. Okay? You need to get really good at that. However, you have to keep in mind and accept the fact that the questions will come like this. Okay, so what does that mean? Most of your questions that you need to answer to pass will come from that green circle. I promise you this. Okay? Most of them will come from that green circle. It could be worded in a weird way. It could be a long paragraph that tests your comprehension and attention span and your English maybe, right? But they'll be from that green circle. Will there be some advanced questions from certain areas like anesthesia, maybe dental materials, maybe from restorative, maybe from basic, maybe from, yeah, there will be. There will be. And you're not meant to get 100%. And it doesn't matter because there's no scoring anymore. It's only a pass and fail. However, is it smart to chase this? No. The answer is obviously no. Okay. So why do I say that? Let's say once you're like, hey, they brought this radiology question about this topic, for example, okay? A detailed question about how the CBCT machine works. A lot of people come out thinking that's the question that failed them. What they do is they go open a radiology textbook, start reading about all the chapters that are regarding machines and x-rays, okay? And then they forget the green circle, they go and they fail again, they don't know why. The reason people fail is not because they got these questions wrong, it's because they got something in the green circle wrong. I'm 100% sure of it. I see it in the mocks. People answer sometimes wrong without knowing they answered wrong. Those are the questions that cause you to fail. Okay? Why do I say don't chase these parts? The reason I say that is because what if next time the exam questions are like this? Interesting, right? You're still getting that majority from the green circle that if you studied, you would have passed. You went and chased advanced radiology, but now the hard questions came from infection control, pathology, ortho, perio, anatomy. Right? So that's why I say you don't want to chase the specialization deeply. You need to cover the green circle. Don't listen to other people's rumors. I'm telling you, don't listen to what exam takers say. Everybody's going to tell you their own experience. Okay? Someone goes to the exam, they hate ortho, they'll come out and say everything was ortho. Someone goes into the exam, they hate pharma, they'll come out and say everything was pharma, right? And then you go study that thing, don't listen. Okay? Just listen to what we're going to give you. And just forget the noise. There's a lot of noise in the community. Forget that. Just focus on that green circle and keep reviewing it. And you'll pass. Okay? Does this make sense? This time they brought some really crazy ortho question. Don't go study profit. You don't, okay, you don't need to do that. No problem. Next time the crazy question could be from a different subject. You don't know. You cannot predict those very, very advanced questions. Okay. So we're here to give you our knowledge and experience. We'll teach you the green circle. We will give you some of those advanced stuff that we think are important based on evidence that they came in the exam. So we'll see which ones you need to know. And we might tell you, memorize this, memorize that. You might not need to understand the whole topic. And only go details and questions if you see evidence that they're asking about that. We'll always come across new concepts and we are here to support you. It's impossible to answer all the questions you may have about dentistry, obviously. So we will focus you and give you what you need to pass, not what you want. Some people just want this desire of like, I want to know this, I want to know. But no, we know what you need. So let us give you what you need, okay? If you feel like you want to do clinical flap surgery, sure. Once you're done the NDEB process, go do courses for flap surgery, all right? And learn how to do it. Here, we'll teach you what you need to pass and understand it from a theoretical point of view for answering questions. You'll understand it, you could visualize, but you can't perform it clinically yet, okay? So this area is a bit prolonged here. I am going to skip this area just a bit. I'm going to leave it for the end. Actually, let me just get to here. So we'll always come across new concepts. So if you have anything new, just send us an email, tell us about it. Don't throw it in class. The reason we say that is it could confuse others. So you could be bringing wrong information to the table. You could be, adding something that has no value but makes other people feel like they're not studying enough. So I'm really careful with what my students receive. Now, if you guys want to communicate among each other, that's up to you. But try not to throw something in class that's very different or new or could be wrong. First, send us an email or tell me personally, and I could look into it. And then if it's something we need to consider, we'll send it to everybody else. Okay. Well, this is okay. Okay. And if there's anything that, you think you have a better answer, we always ask, okay, send it to me or to our email, send the evidence, and then we'll check it. Okay. A lot of times, believe it or not, there's either no evidence or the evidence is not saying what the student thinks it says, so and if there's anything that changed, we'll let everybody know. Support each other. Don't neglect yourself, though. And that's why I'm saying I'm all about spreading knowledge, but this exam is a competition. So you have to understand right now, in our course, the scholars students, you're on the same team because you're getting the same knowledge. Help each other out. It's nice to have people to help, right? And be helped by. Care for your classmates, but try not to share with people outside the course. Remember that they're your competition, okay? Even in class, they're kind of like competition, but you don't want that kind of thing. We want to keep it. We have a very positive culture here. So we're very, very all supportive. It's always been great. There's always good back and forth. It's awesome. But just don't go out there and do something where like you're trading things with someone else. You're going to get confused. I've seen it many times where people start getting confused when there's like different, sharing something with someone else, but they're not maybe sharing with you the same thing. Don't worry about other people now. Worry about yourself. You're responsible for your success right now. Worry about yourself. Get yourself to pass, then help others. Okay. If you want to give your books to someone, fine. But right now, when you're studying, focus on yourself only and pass. Then you could help other people when you pass. Okay. Okay. So now I want to explain how the course works. Okay. Because I felt a little bit this went longer than I thought it would be. But I'll explain how the course works. So who will let me just go. How many time we'll have access to the pre-recorded courses? So the way our structure works, pay attention here. We have a schedule, okay? Week 1, you'll have access to the videos here. Let's say it's basic science, and you'll watch them. Okay, you have a week to finish them. Week 2, let's say it's pharma. Now pharma videos open, but then basic science videos close. That's how our strategy accountability is. Now, you're going to be, in the beginning, this may shock you, okay? But believe it or not, all the students end up thanking us for this, okay? Because I know how it is. You guys are going to be stuck in basic science for a month, probably, trying to memorize it before you get to pharma. You get to the end of a course and you're not done, and then you start saying, please extend my course a little. No, that's not how we have a system we have to keep. Also, you won't finish. You have to learn when to move from one phase to another, right? So give basic science a week, okay? Whatever you finish, if you finish 90%, that's fine. Move on, go to pharma. Okay, you finished 90%, good, move on, go to next one. You can't get stuck in one, right? And if you don't have time to do that, then you don't have time for AFK, right? That's why you might need to do 2 cycles. It depends. But I promise you, everybody's thanking us for this system after they try it, because it makes them accountable to actually schedule work and get work done. Okay. Every week, there's a quiz before and a quiz after. Okay. Then there's a live session on Saturdays. Okay. So I'll show you guys the platform. That's how the video structure works. So I'm going to now show you guys the platform here. Just need to show this. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze it in here. Now I do have an ACJ session soon, so okay, so I'll just keep it like that for now. Actually, this is fine. I'm just going to keep it like this. Okay, and share. So actually, we developed a new platform. So I'm just going to show you how our platform looks like. So once you register for the course, you'll have access to this platform starting the correct date. Okay, so you can see March AFK March 2023. Here's the introduction module. So you could see here, there's a welcome message. Now all of these will be locked and they will open weekly, and you'll see the date that they'll open on. So if you think about it, we actually now built in a schedule into our platform. You don't have to go back to the schedule because you could kind of see each date when things are opening. Okay. I don't have it here because I'm an admin in the platform, so I have all of them open for me to see. But here you could see welcome. Okay. Message, general guide. So just telling you how everything works. Okay. What to expect from the videos, how to watch them, what kind of quizzes you have. Here's the schedule. So you could see module 1 is going to start March 6th with basic science. Okay. So you could go back to this. You still have access to a schedule here if you want, but you know, you'll find out maybe that you don't really need it. Okay. Now, as I said, week 1, okay, you'll have basic science. They will close after that week. And then March 13th to 19, you'll have Pharma 1. And then March 20 to 26, you'll have Pharma 2. Then these will be closed. And then eventually we'll have a break week. So we always try to include this break week after anesthesia and review. And during this break week, we open the previous videos. Okay. So we forced you here to move weekly to cover everything as much as possible. Then in the break week, if you need to catch up or review, you could go back and watch any of these. We'll open them. Once the break week is done, we close the previous section. We move on to section 2 or 3 now, because basic science, we kind of consider its own section. So we move on to the dental part. So April 24th to 30th, you have access to dental materials. Plus, we have a catch-up program. See catch up here? What does that mean? Some people register late, right? So once the AFK results come out, they register late, and like some people, you know, they come to us, they failed an attempt so they come to us for the first time. They say, oh, you know, we've got our results. Can we start the course? So we have a catch-up program, and you guys could take advantage of this too. But now with dental materials, which is module 7, we also open module 1. So you could see that module 7 is opening with module 1, and then module 8 is opening with module 2. So you can see now you have this kind of parallel system between the old, not the old, I don't want to call it old, the previous section and the new section. However, this is not meant for you, the student that started from the beginning. This is meant for catching up people that came in the course late. However, you could use it to review. We recommend you always finish the new stuff first, okay? And then we have another break where we open the previous section. And then we have this part. You can see here it goes all the way up to module 6. So if someone came in this late in the course, they could still catch up. We don't recommend you intentionally do this. It's very difficult to do 2 modules in one. This is only for people that came in late and they had no other reason. And some people come in late to the course, like in April, say they're coming in April 17, and they already registered for the exam and they have no other choice. They don't know what to do. We say, okay, this is the best thing you could do, right? This is the best option. You have to, you know, full-time study these 2 in 1 week. Okay. But we don't recommend you plan it that way. It's a lot more relaxed that you could do it properly. Okay. And then at the end, we get to the mock exams in the last month. Okay. The mocks will be set. We're going to plan how to do them. We'll be in the last month. So we recommend that you be off in the last month on Saturdays and Sundays. So we will try to do them on Saturday, for example, then you get access to the discussion on Sunday. Don't worry too much. Don't be concerned about the details. Whatever it is, it's enough that it's getting our students 80 to 90% passing rate. So just be confident that we'll take care of you. You just have to start understanding that our main thing is that we do want to take care of you to the best of our ability. Okay. And we'll teach you how to go through the mocks at that point. Now, that's the schedule. You could download it here too if you want. Okay. Here's a study guide. The study guide will show you what to do in each module. So we had this as a downloadable PDF before. So you can see each module says, okay, before the lecture, do this, and then watch these videos, do this, then do this, so every step. But even better, right now, so you can download the study guide, you can see it here. But even better, we included the study guide also in our platform. So here's some Zoom links and the AFK forum. No worries about that. Here's the AFK forum. But you can see here, if we go to the first module, module 0, okay, the study guide is now incorporated into the module. So the schedule and the study guide are inside the platform, right? So you can see here, it tells you exactly what to do before watching the videos, what you got to do, and after, okay? Here's an answer key. So all the questions you get printed out, you have the answer for them here. So you can see one is the answer to this. So if you need a quick way to get the answers without the videos, they're here. Okay. So you can see, for example, if we look at basic science study guide before watching the videos, solve the online pre-lecture quiz. Okay. You're going to solve the pre-lecture quiz. Takes 1 hour. Watch videos day 1. And I'll explain to you guys what that means like later on. Finish in 1 day or maximum 2 days. So day 1 means what we could teach in one day, like on a Saturday. What we could teach in 1 day, what fits in 1 day. However, if you could fit it in 1 day, great. If you can't, maximum 2 days. Watch videos from 1 to 18. Solve questions from 1 to 84. Watch the question explanation videos. Okay. A little note. And then watching videos day 2. Do this, everything in detail. After watching the videos, what do? Watch these, solve these questions, try to do this. And if you need to skip it, you can skip it. And then attend live sessions, right? So everything is organized for you. And here's the pre-lecture quiz. So you just put your name and your email, and you'll have access to the pre-lecture quiz. Here's the videos. You can start the videos. The videos work full screen mode, and on your phone and on a tablet. Okay. We have subtitles as well. English subtitles. Okay, so here's like microbiology. Also, just to let you know, like this is pretty much, we could communicate. Sometimes you'll get something that pauses the video and a little note, just to make sure, like if there's a message I want to send to you in the video, something will pop up here and it'll pause the video, and then you have to play it. You have to click to actually play it, but it gives you kind of like a little note, a message. Okay. I'm trying to find if there's any ones with chapters here. So you can see, for example, we also have the chapter system. So you have flexibility with that. You see this book here? You click on it, it'll show you all the chapters that are organized. So if you want to jump to odontogenic cyst, you can just click on it and it'll go to odontogenic cyst. Odontogenic tumors. Okay. So everything is well organized here. Okay. You could also skip 20 seconds ahead, 20 seconds back if you need to do that. You could change. A lot of people make use of changing the speed to go through things faster. Okay. For example, there's a random pharma quiz here. And then you could even you'll see the live session, for example, here. So you'll just come up to the end here. You'll see, oh, the live session, it tells you the time, April 1st, Saturday, 9:30. Here's the link to join the Zoom meeting. And this is the instructor doing the live session. Now, another thing is every video, you could have a separate discussion for right here in this discussion area. So you could say, hey, I kind of like that part, right? At this specific time. Okay, then you share it. And it just pops up here. Someone else could reply to it. Or maybe you could say, hey, that part, was it correct? I don't know, like something you want, and then you'll share it, and then someone else could comment. And it's specific to each video. So if you click on a different video, you'll see it doesn't show. right? Because each video has its own discussion if you want. Okay. That is pretty much it for the platform until you get to the end of the course. Everything is scheduled again within it, and we could always update notes in it. So these are all, we could edit them all. This part here, we could edit this notes and we could add different things to it. Okay, so that's pretty much it about how the platform works so that we don't take too much time there. I'm just going to try to, okay, and I'm going to get back to the slides and then I'll answer your questions. Okay, so why do people fail? This is a common thing we want you to know about, right? Okay, so this is the coaching part of the course. So is it knowledge? Most people fail because they answer average questions wrong, not because they answer difficult questions wrong. The failure comes from answering average or easy questions incorrectly. So people don't fail because of difficult questions. They fail because they missed an easy or average question. You have to learn what most people know, guys. So you have to see what other people know. You have to know it. You can't be the only one answering something incorrectly. Again, I could teach how this works during the course. So if you focus on learning what others don't know and you forget what everyone knows, this is what causes you to fail. Like, for example, prophylaxis in antibiotics. This is important. Everybody has to know this. You cannot be the one to answer this incorrectly. You'll fail because everybody will get it right. But a difficult question where no one will get right, that's okay if you don't get it right because everybody else didn't get it right. You see? So if you do take our course and study well, knowledge is not why you failed. I can tell you that. If you studied well, of course. Okay? Just make sure you have a growth mindset, meaning not a fixed mindset, meaning that, you know, you always tell yourself that you could change, you could get better at something. Okay? If you follow our methods and instructions, you'll pass. The knowledge is not the issue, but we'll also coach you on the other things. So why do people fail? The things I thought about is why I see people fail is they mess up the simple questions. And why do people mess up simple questions if they studied? It could be these three things: fear and stress, confidence and expectations. Okay? And they all kind of lead somewhat, wait, I'm going the wrong way. They all lead to lack of clarity in the exam and then misjudgment. Okay? So fear and stress. Look, I know it's not easy. I've been through it. You need the right amount of fear to keep you studying. It's good to have some fear to make you study, but not too much to stress you out and block your clarity. So you need to manage your fear in a way that you could study without being anxious in studying. Okay? So how do you manage this fear? Multiple ways. First of all, your perspective. So we're all dentists. We're all scholars. We want to enjoy learning the concepts that our dental schools never taught. Look at it as an opportunity to understand really interesting stuff. I know this sounds a little bit cheesy and you know, not, but you have to kind of tell yourself that because you want to reduce your fear. Okay? You want to reduce that stress about the exam. And how do you do that? You kind of try to trick your psychology that, hey, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. I enjoy learning. I want to get this. If you say that to yourself, then you reduce your fear, even if you know it's not true, you know? Change your mindset. Learn in order to become the next generation of qualified dentists, not just for the exam. This will make it more enjoyable. Again, even though we know you're doing it for the exam, okay? If you say this to yourself, it's very helpful because just look at it. The dentists that know about dentistry, that are experienced, they're going to retire. Who's the one carrying that in Canada? Who's going to carry that next generation of really good dental clinicians? We are doing that, right? So you have to learn this stuff to carry it, right? You have to carry this responsibility. The experienced people are going to retire, and we are going to become the experienced people. You're probably already experienced, but now you need that Canadian experience. So learn the things you need to get there, right? Until you become better, then you'll deserve that spot. So think of it that way. Also, remember to always have methods of relaxing with family, long walks, maybe whatever works for you. And sometimes this note helps that life is more than just AFK and dentistry. I know when we're doing AFK, all our life is just AFK, and that's how it should be. But when you are stressed and fear, just remember that, hey, there's more to it than just AFK and dentistry. I mean, if you're attending this session, you're probably come to Canada. You're probably already in Canada. That's already an amazing step. You know, you changed entire countries already. So that's congratulations. You did something big. If you're approved by the NDEB, that's a big step. But, you know, a lot of people are fortunate just to be here and not even be dentists. So, you know, I know that's not your goal, but I'm just saying, if you are in a stress and fear situation, that sometimes that thought process helps. And sometimes, this is like a quote I like, the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. So our fear of failing the exam is actually worse than the feeling when we actually fail. The fear of failing is worse than the failing. So your fear of failing the exam, okay, some of it is good, it'll help you study, but your fear of it, when you actually fail, yeah, it's terrible, but and then, like, you know, you're still living, things go on. It's worse to fear it, actually. So that helps kind of, you know, just put things in perspective, that to limit your fear if it's going too much. And we'll teach you and coach you on these things during the course. Now, confidence, what do I mean by confidence? You need the right amount of confidence, okay? Now, there's confidence during studying and confidence during exam. And then also confidence in review. They're different. You have to treat them differently, okay? Now, in the studying time, overconfidence makes you more ignorant a little bit. It creates ignorance. Like, you think you just needed to read it once and you're good. And then when you come to the exam, you don't remember anything. So you don't want to be overconfident. But lack of confidence, this is the one people fall in, actually, and they think it's a good thing. So people probably know this, but people mistakenly do this, thinking it's a good thing. Lack of confidence causes unnecessary reading and repeating, which is wasting time. People think it's a good thing. Hey, I'm reviewing, I'm studying 10 hours a day, I'm reviewing so much. Okay, but what's the point if you're reviewing things you already know, right? So that's what I mean by you're so lacking confident that you review everything. Every time you review. You're not supposed to review everything every time. You should have done it the way I taught you. You cross things out. Be confident about those things so that you don't need to review them anymore. Okay? Here's how I explain confidence too during studying. If you read pathology this week, then after 2 months, it is time. Let me explain this in a visual way. Okay, so here, I'm in March. I read patho card, let's say patho card 47. You know, after 2 months, I've been doing other stuff, other subjects. Maybe April, May, maybe in May, I came across patho card 47. Okay. Let's assume I memorized, I remember the entire thing. The whole card feels good. Like, I'm like, oh, I remember the whole thing. Okay. What do you learn from this? What you learn from this is that means May, June, July, maybe August. Oh, wait a minute. That's just the exam date, 2 months. If I was able to remember it in 2 months, after 2 months here, I should be able to remember it after 2 months here. That's what I mean by confidence. You don't need to double check that, because you already have your own study that you did on yourself to see, right? If you remember it after 2 months, you did it here. After 2 months, you remembered it. And not only that, since you're reviewing it again, it means that you might even remember it longer now. So even if it's 3 months, you might remember it. But your evidence is based off of 2 months, right? So that means at least you could say to yourself, hey, in 2 months, when it's the exam date, I should know this card. So that means I don't need to review it here at all. And I could put my time into other stuff. What makes you review it? Lack of confidence. You're not confident of your system here. You're not confident with it. So what you do is you end up reviewing everything, and then you don't end up going to the exam ready, because what you could have done is not reviewed the stuff you knew here and made sure you reviewed the stuff you keep forgetting to go to the exam ready with everything. Okay, makes sense? Hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's what I explained pretty much here. So, and also don't lose confidence if you don't remember everything. You want to expect to forget. You will forget. Okay, so that's what I mean by during studying, how your confidence has to work. Okay. Now, during the exam, when you're doing the exam, always be confident. That's it. In the exam, you have to enter the exam with the mindset that you're the smartest man in the world, or smartest woman in the world, or smartest person in the world. Just do it that way. Enter the exam like you have all the knowledge to solve these questions. If the question feels like it's new, know that there's something you just have to read into it to get the knowledge. It's in your head. The question is understandable, but it's just masked. They put different words, but it's the same concept that you already know. Assume all this and you'll find yourself answering. So assume you have the knowledge to solve the question. And we'll give you different strategies, like go to the exam feeling, this is what I tell our students. Imagine that this scenario, okay? Imagine all the dental books have been burned and all the dental libraries have been, they disappeared. And the NDEB needs to know what the answer to these questions are. They don't know. They don't know the answers. They need to figure out who knows the answer. Everything got burned, but they have these questions. And they selected you because you're a scholar of dentistry. You know the dental knowledge. You're a dental consultant. You're an expert. They want you to help them answer these questions. So they selected you because you took the Scholar's Dental course, okay? Or you're a scholar of dentistry. You know the knowledge. So you're going there to give your opinion, your expert opinion. If you're in the exam that way, you're going to be a lot more confident and less stressed out, okay? And then the last one is expectation. Give me a sec. Just okay. What does expectation means? Look, it's good to have high hopes, but be prepared for realistic results. And now this is less problematic because there's no scores anymore, right? But there's also an expectation of how the exam will feel. And trust me, the mocks will help you a lot with this, because we make the mocks feel like the exam so that you're prepared for that feeling. If you have a new question in the exam, or a difficult question, or something you never heard of, this could break you sometimes in the exam, and it causes you to mess up other easy questions. So what do you do? What do you guys think? Do you go learn all those hard questions? No, we'll help you with that, but you'll still be faced with new questions in the exam. So the strategy is you have to know those are not the questions that are going to fail you. You're going to walk into the exam expecting to be confused about 50 questions. This is average, by the way. Okay, we have an instructor that works here. She came out feeling that she was going to fail. She messed up 50 to 60 questions because she was confused. She got 90. I came out with 50 maybe questions I was not sure about. I got 91. So this is normal if you're confused about 50 questions. Just because you're confused about it doesn't mean you didn't make the right decision when you answered it. Okay? So when you see one of these, just smile and think, well, I'm sure everyone else feels the same way, and continue. So your expectation shouldn't be that the exam is going to be easy for every way. There's going to be those confusing questions. And you just have to dig in your knowledge and try to solve it to the best of your ability. One quote I like is, be prepared to be disappointed in the exam. Like, you're going to leave this, what was that? That feeling will teach you how to feel that feeling in the mocks, okay, and how to navigate it. This is a cool quote. Only fools expect everything to go the way they want, okay? You're not going to walk into the exam. They're going to give you all the questions that you just studied or you just prepared. There's going to be some curveballs, some new ones, some weird questions, but those questions are the ones, they're not meant to be answered. They're there to be not answered in a way, okay? So again, we'll train you on how to go through that. And other stuff is manage your stress, your anxiety, is your lifestyle stuff. Of course, sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindfulness. These are the things that you could do every day, and they make up most of your day. Like you sleep maybe 8 hours. Eating is probably, I don't know how much time it's going to take you. Moving around. If you get these things right, look, most of your day is good. Your life is good, is under control. And all this AFK stuff is more stuff to do to self-actualize. Okay. All right. So manage yourself. We're only here to help you on your journey. You're the leader of yourself and your success. And we're here to be part of your success story. So I just wanted to show some advancements we made over the last few years. Like we're moving pretty fast and making a lot of different changes. So you can see like from 2020 to 2022, how much we implemented in our technology, the video chaptering, all questions explained, pre-recorded lectures we always had, having fast updates on a platform. Now it was very difficult in 2020. Now we have a way to do it really quick. Audio review, like podcast system, that was developed around 2022 or 2021, but not in 2020. Like we are updating quickly, and based on this, you can see how fast we're getting better, right? So you can see all these new things. Now in 2023, what's new? So if you already know how our course works, well, now look at what we developed from 2022 to 2023. Our videos now all work on a mobile and tablet system, and there's interactive videos with buttons and stuff if we need to. We have English subtitles, chapter system, and video will pause if there's anything that we need to interrupt you to make a note or message. All this is the same, fast updates, audio review. But this is one of the major ones that we're able to do. The final mock is online, not like some places they do some online, but you have to come to class to do the really good ones, right? No, we give you all the good ones online. Don't worry. Okay, we're committed to you online. This is our main course. And we have videos after each question to explain it. And also you get comparison statistics to see how you did among other students now. We always had alumni discounts, exclusive forum, WhatsApp group, Discord, online before and after, we always had that. Live Q&A after every subject, installment plan, we always had that. Review and mock package is a new thing we added for our alumni students, that you get access to the last few weeks of the course where you have all the videos. Free shipping and early books. We always had that, but now we have, during the duration of the course, you have access to online books. And it's interactive, you could take notes and stuff, but it closes after the course is done because we have like reasons why we have to do it that way. But you could do that. Our accountability, motivation, and coaching system, like with the weekly process, forces you to study every week. We're here to motivate you every week. I do Friday Discords, by the way. So on Friday, you'll see me on Discord. You know, sometimes it depends. It's a casual meeting, but I hang out with the students, talk. We also have a study guide, but it's all built in with the schedule into the platform now. That's what's new. Here's the books we'll be printing and shipping to you. Okay. And wow, this went a lot longer than I thought it would go. I probably talked too much this time, everybody. Sorry. But we're gonna have to probably split this into 2 parts. But our plan is to go through first basic science, because we believe that first you're a scientist before you're a doctor. Okay, so our first plan, you're going to learn the basic science you need for dentistry. Then you're going to go into the medicine book, which is this one, which has pharma, patho, and anesthesia. And you are a doctor before you're being a dentist. It's not the other way around. Okay. Then the engineering stuff, dental materials, prosto, restorative, ortho. And that's where you kind of become the dentist. And then the surgical stuff, endo, perio, implants, oral surgery, and radiology. And then you become the complete doctor of dental surgery. Okay. So online course has it all in the in-class content. I showed you guys how the course works. So just remember, the live sessions are on Saturdays, 9:30 EST. And you want to keep Saturday and Sunday off in the last month. And if you can, keep Friday off, because I do a casual session on Friday. Casual means it doesn't always run. It's more like on Discord, I jump in, I say, hey, everybody, what's going on? How's your studying going? What are you having any problems time managing yourself? And I give you guys tips. Okay. So you will be seeing me. Trust me, I'm not disappearing. Okay. I will be here we'll be here. The whole staff is here to take care of you for the next cycle. Okay. That's pretty much it. You could watch the AFK study week video to see how the course works. Just learn that we have a new platform. So the platform on it it looks like the previous platform we did last cycle, but you could still look at how the concept of the course works if you want more details. Okay. We showed you, I think, the survey. I already took screenshots of that and added it. Okay. And now we just have to send you guys the Udemy course coupon code. And that is pretty much it. Thank you all for attending and watching the session. I don't know how I managed to get this longer this time. We cut it into two, where we do the NDEB on one day and the AFK on one day. My prediction was to finish the AFK in like an hour and a half. It turned out to be longer than that. So how long did it take? Like 2 hours and a half already, and still going. So apologize for talking so much, everybody. I hope I elaborated and explained everything you need. Let me go through some of your Q&As. I do have an ACJ session soon with our students. So just give me a sec just to make sure they're okay. And that's pretty much it. So let me just end this. All right, so now there's the AFK 2023 orientation, but we're going to be talking about our Q&A part. So let me go back to the beginning and see where was the question that I missed. So, okay. What is the flexible way for people that work? Could you give me more details? Okay, so what is the flexible way? Good question. For people that work. So by Lordine. So let me explain to you how the course works. So Monday, again, like in a different way. Monday, the video is open for the week. You have until Sunday to finish. Now, Saturday is the live session for that subject. Okay. Friday, I do Discord sometimes, but I try to do it most of the time, so don't worry. Now, what's the ideal plan? The ideal plan is to watch the videos day one. So the length of the week is usually what could be done in 2 full days. Okay, let me explain. When we did in class, we did Saturday, full day, 7 to 8 hours, and Sunday, full day, 7 to 8 hours. So that content is now recorded online and you have a week to do it. Okay, if we think logically, if you use the videos and don't abuse them, use them the right way, you should be able to finish the first content, which we call day 1, on Monday. So day 1. And then Tuesday, you should be able to finish that content day 2. Ideally, right? Yep. Give me a sec. Okay, so you should be able to finish that on day 2. And then day 3 is like catching up. Maybe there's some extra content you need to do. Maybe you need to solve the questions or question videos. So, and then you could kind of just have this time to catch up. Friday is included kind of. And then you want to try to be done before Saturday so that if you have questions, you could ask. And then Sunday could be a rest or a review, depending on what you want. Okay. Now, what if you're working and you don't have that time to watch 8 hours of video in one day? Then you could split it over 2 days. So what you would do is take day 1, and we have this all labeled in the course. So you take day 1 videos, right? Day 1, and you do them on Monday and Tuesday. And then you take day 2, and then you do them on Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Friday, you do your remaining videos. If there's any question videos or any other content, Saturday, you attend the live, then Sunday, you could do whatever you want. Now, this may not even work for everybody, so you might have to extend your video watching into Saturday and Sunday. That's fine. If you could finish it over the 7 days, this is what I mean by flexibility and how you could schedule yourself, right? And if you have questions about this topic that you developed after the session, you could ask me in the Friday that's after. Because I do the Discord, I do a live session on Fridays mostly. Okay, does that make sense? I would like to see If you want to also unmute and just talk to me, just so I know, are you still listening? Okay, so that's what I mean by, you know, let me see where that message was that you sent. Someone said, despite the marks blueprints for each subject, there is no guarantee. Yeah, there's no guarantee. Some exams come more heavy in prosto, some come more in patho. It's a little bit randomized, so don't focus on that. Is there any negative marking for the wrong answer? No, there's no negative marking in AFK. There's more. We'll talk about that in ACJ though. How many hours of study do we need per day to maximize our passing rate? So if you could do full-time, is the best. So like you're doing 7 to 8 hours a day, that's the best. I can't say it's not the best, but if you could, it's doable with 4 to 5 hours. Okay. Who asked that question? Birdry. Okay. So I told you guys it works on the phone too. As Farting is telling me, hey, did you mention this? Yes. Is it possible to work full-time and study for the exam at the same time? So whoever is asking, is it possible? It is possible, depending on how heavy your schedule is. But this is the schedule you might want to consider, where you split 4 to 5 hours every day, finish on Thursday, the videos. However, you have to know that you're not going to be able to do what a non-working student is doing. So try your attempt, and then you might want to consider, you might need to repeat or study longer on your own. So it's not a bad idea if you're trying to take the Feb 2024 exam, right? You could still take the March 2023 course up until August, skip August. So you took the course here. You self-study now. You at least you have the guidance. You know what to study, right? It's better than doing it the other way around, where some people want to self-study alone, then take the course. No, take the course, then self-study, because at least you know what to study. You're not studying wrong, right? Then if you need, you could come back for mocks and review, right? So that's why you could take the course if you're working full-time, self-study after, and come back for mocks and review. Give yourself a year. Can I get the recording for today? Yes, it will be uploaded on YouTube. No problem. Thank you very much for information. Thank you. No problem. Can the mock dates change? Mock dates could be subject to change. That's something that could happen. That's why we say to you that please, in your last month before your exam, honestly, you shouldn't be busy with anything else but AFK. Okay. In your last month before your exam, you should be dedicated 100% for the exam. And scholars, we need to adapt to any change we need to do to make sure it's the best way to do it. So for you as well. So you need to be able, but what if we have an emergency session? You never know. So in the last month, it makes sense to have it always off. What time do I release the videos on Monday? 12 a.m. automatically, EST. How many hours a day? As I mentioned, you want to try to do at least 4 to 5, at least 4. Then the more the better. Friday live sessions are optional. At 9:30, people come in, and you know, I try to answer their. So on Fridays, because I take any questions from the previous subject. So if you have anything from previously, you could ask me. But also it's casual, okay? So it's like we could just talk about your studying management. If there's any stress, if you're having trouble figuring out how to watch the videos more efficiently, sometimes people like they need help with that kind of stuff. And you could also do that on the Saturdays, but I do it on the Fridays mostly, and I can answer questions from before. And if there's anything important, I do mention it in the WhatsApp group in an audio message. Yes. I'm not sure. Yes. What's the difference in becoming a dentist in a direct way and an indirect way? So becoming a dentist in a direct way means you're only doing exams. So watch our NDEB orientation. So you'll be doing AFK, ACJ, NDECC. You're just doing the exams and you're taking courses. The university pathway means you'll be going to university for 3 years and paying the university fees, which could come out at the end with a loan of, you know, 1 to 200,000 at the end. So here's the thing: if you're not taking a loan for the direct license, I mean, you're ending up taking up a loan for the university pathway anyway. You get what I mean? So this is why the direct pathway could cost you maybe 60, 50,000. If you need a loan, maybe you'll have to take a loan. Some people say, well, I don't want to take a loan. Well, if you're going to university, you're going to end up taking a loan anyway. It's going to be just a $200,000 loan, okay? So which loan do you prefer? What time this Friday discussions? Usually I do, everything starts 9:30 a.m. Okay, we try. The end time for the discussion is hard to determine. I personally go until everybody's done. You know, I just keep going, unless it goes for like a long time, then I get tired. But I go on to, and usually people finish within 3 hours. Along with the videos, we still, to finish the theory part with you, will send in form of books so that we can prepare our questions till Saturday. So iPhone user, I don't know your name. So when you're watching the videos, you want to have your books open, and because the videos go in line with the books. Like so the video slides that we have, okay? Let me show you how much, there's a lot of hard work that was put in. So I have slides I'm going to present, but you don't get slides. We actually put them in a textbook format so that it's easier for you to carry, a lot nicer, okay? It's not like printed slides, okay? So, but it's the same as the slides. So all you have to do is walk through this as you're going through the video. It's the same thing. And you underline what you need, you highlight what you need and all. Now, for people that are already taking the AFK course, that are already registered, remember, maybe we'll have another orientation, but remember to not allow the video to take too long. So you have to play the video feeling like it's a live lecture, because sometimes people fall in the habit of rewinding everything, and then you double your time. So you have to be careful of that. Again, it takes a little bit of learning in the first week, and then people get used to it, and that's it. They love it. Thank you, Fardeen, for sharing that. For the live session on Saturday, will we have access to listen to it again? I mean, if we're going to have access to those recordings. So the live session on Saturday is a live session, right? Otherwise, we'll end up with an infinite recording loop where we're recording that live, and then the next cycle we're recording another live. So the live session on Saturday, we tell you should attend, okay? I might be recording mine, but when we announce something as a live session, you should make the effort to do a live session. We can't guarantee the recording because sometimes files corrupt. Now, the things we're offering you pre-recorded, we know the files are safe, they're uploaded, everything is done, they're ready, right? We don't know the recordings on Saturday's work, and some instructors in their live might not want to record. So when we say there's a live session, you have to attend the live session. I mean, it's very minimal to ask to attend a 3-hour live session every week once in a course like this. Other courses make you attend two full days, all right? So, and then it's a Q&A. So if you don't have anything to bring, you don't have to attend. If you feel like, you know, you're doing well with the videos, a lot of people said, I didn't even need to attend. I felt okay just doing the videos. So it depends on you. It's not a lecture. I'm not giving you anything everything I need to give will be presented in a video, even if it's during the course. Okay. Can we take a loan for each exam? Yes. So CIBC has a program, okay, where they give you a loan for each exam. Let me see if I could show you that. So I'm just going to show you this quickly. So if you see here, this is on our website. You could book a consult with them. Okay. So you could see they give you step 1. Once you're NDEB approved and you have a PR, 25,000. Then after you pass AFK, they give you 35,000 for ACJ. Then after you pass ACJ, they give you 50,000 for NDECC. So they give you for every step. You just have to get in touch. Okay. I have already registered. We'll be receiving an email for the start of the course. Did you register now? Yes. So you will be getting an email. You'll be added and you'll be getting one 1 week before the course. So we're actually giving an early start. So we start March 6th, but 1 week before you'll be getting, actually 2 weeks, I think I have it. Was it? I think it's like, wait, March 6th. Yes, 1 week before the course, you'll be sent an email to log in and all of that automatically will happen. Okay. Next, based on your statistic, how many people take the course with you and succeed succeed all the procedures to become a dentist in Canada? So we don't have statistics for all the steps like that. We never did NDECC before. The skills part, that part we would just like send people, we would just focus on AFK and ACJ. But since now our AFK and ACJ is strong, we decided to get into the NDECC, and we actually launched our first program this month. So this month was our first skills and situational judgment course. Your batch size shouldn't matter to you. That's like, we don't have to tell you what you're going to get the same experience that everybody from before gets. We keep it like, usually it's between 50 to 100, but exactly it's like that, right? However, not everybody joins the live, and you'll get your own time. So you don't have to worry if you have a question. We're responsible for taking care of that question. Is there a shorter or faster review course for people who have already taken the course and need to practice more before taking the exam? Well, we don't know what that means for you. So I can only verify our students. So if someone took our full course, we allow them to come back for alumni mock and review. I don't know what you mean by taking another course and you need something faster. I don't know what you took. So I can't give you a short version of something I didn't give you before. Does that make sense? So maximum, usually our students, we do 100. Okay, so we want to try to cap it at 100 max, just to make sure, you know, it's not I think that's our plan, to make it max. But you know, we'll see how that goes. What if I get registered, get the books, and take the online course in the next session? You could do that. So if you want to take the September 2023 course, you could register now, get the books, and then take the course in September. It just means you're registering early for the September course. It's fine. What happens if someone registered for the exam, but during the course preparation realized that his or her scores are low? Yes, you could withdraw from the exam if that's your question. I have a video on YouTube about withdrawing from the exams. Always check the most latest policies though for the NDEB. Okay, but you are allowed to withdraw. Okay, guys. All right, good Q&A. And remember, I'm not sure if you guys booked the consults. Dr. Kaveri will first get in touch with you, okay, and talk to you about, you know, your procedures, and then we could confirm your consultation. How much time does it take to get the books after registering for the course? It depends on your location. If you're in Ontario or within Canada, I think 1 to 2 weeks. So give us a week to print and a week to ship. If you're outside of Canada, or if you're international, like far, like overseas, then it might take 3 to 4 weeks. We'll give you a tracking number so you could track it. And once the course starts, you have online access to the online versions of the book as well. Okay. I didn't show them that. Let me see if I could find my access to that. Okay, so that's the link for the basics. So the point is to get a feel of how the teaching is. And if you like it, then like, we believe that you should try it first, right? So we're confident enough that, hey, if you see this, you're going to enjoy the learning with us as scholars, and you're going to want to learn the remaining subjects like this. But if you don't enjoy it, then hey, like, it's better not to be with me, right? In the case. So I only want students that actually enjoy the way we explain things, and that's a fair thing. So I think if you're looking at any other courses, don't just listen to what people say. See if you could try. Okay, see, hey, can I try a session first? I think it's fair. We're giving you some of that free content to experience it. Okay, so that's it, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording here.